Anyway, I did see the film that this particular toy is based on. Marvel's Avengers Infinity War, in theaters now. I'd be happy to sit here and talk to you about it, for $150 an hour.
Sure, why not?
Cut to trailer.
The entire time I knew him, he only ever had one goal.
The newest Avengers movie is here. This one is called Infinity War. The jokes about the movie being really long practically write themselves. Look out, Avengers! Thanos is coming! The villain we've been told we're supposed to be anticipating for the last 10 years, despite never being given any reason to do so. But he's here! And he's going to destroy half the galaxy with his magical golden oven mitt. Can the Avengers stop him? You'll just have to see the movie and then wait another year to see the next movie to find out.
Oh, well, lawyer, what did you think?
It's the most depressing summer popcorn movie since insert joke here. It's the most depressing summer blockbuster movie since Ghostbusters. It's the most depressing summer blockbuster since The Lone Ranger.
Depressing for different reasons, though.
Yes.
We should point out. This
Yes.
one's intentionally depressing. It's not that depressing, though, I didn't think. It has a depressing...
It dies with saying, "Oh God, I," while turning to.
Oh, spoilers.
The Lolberts, that's our word, brought to you by Bork. No rights reserved, but all mights reserved. And I'm here with Baron von Stormhaven, and I'm Jim Jesus. How you doing, Baron?
Bork.
Oh God, watching 20 minutes.
We watched the entire ARF channel. I'm gonna put that in the notes. It's a link to the ARF channel.
That was fucking glorious.
Yeah, and apparently we have been drinking.
Yeah, well. So Jim, I was asking for confirmation on when I should start driving up because I live way south in the valley from Jim. He's like, yeah, so start, be here at 10:30. Well, I'm already on I-15 in Tropicana and it's like 8:30. I'm like, well, fuck. Okay, so let me go kill some time. So I drive up to Aces and Ales, have a couple of ales. And I start looking at my phone, start going through my Discord channel with on True Dill Tom, which I'm a member of his Discord channel, and someone had posted a link on how the SPLC has
A map.
rightfully or wrongly labeled Gurnee, Illinois, a haven for the KKK. And it was just a newsfeed. This is something that was put on Politico. So I was reading it, and it's stating that someone may have spoofed saying there was going to be a KKK book club or a book review club in Gurnee, and that's how Gurnee got on it. And now they're trying their best. Like even the mayor of Gurnee is trying to not whitewash everything, but just make absolutely sure there's any evidence of KKK and trying to get them removed from the hate, or there's the hate map, the hate watch map or whatever. And that's proved to be difficult. Which reminded me...
Soviet Poverty Lie Center.
Yeah. Well, it reminded me of what was the Natural Monopoly driving podcast you had done. So I sent out a tweet. I mentioned the SPLC. I said, so is it fair that the SPLC has a natural monopoly on hate organizations? It's a fair question because if you look at the ADL, they only look at, or the
it's only anti-Semitic stuff.
Yeah, it's only anti-Semitic stuff. But the SPLC...
If you just railed on about black people, they wouldn't care.
No.
But the instant you started asking about the Jewish question, then they'll talk.
No, the ADL is very specific in dealing with, anti-Jewish hate. Mm-hmm. But the SPLC is the only one that deals with kind of all of it. Or more specifically, they gear towards white supremacists, though they would label black separatists, which I think they did a couple in Arizona and Nevada.
Yeah, they'll list like the new Black Panthers and stuff like that. And they also list, they don't list them as a hate group, but they have the Mises org on there as, and they only have them on there because they have World War II revisionism stuff on their channel.
Oh, yeah.
And they consider that neo-Confederate propaganda.
Or even what Rothbard did, the revisionist Civil War.
the whole United States history.
Yeah.
Conceived in liberty.
Right. So I ended up thinking, I'm like, well, shit, if we got so many so-called hate groups here, I might as well, if they're part of Las Vegas, maybe, I had a fleeting thought, I'm like, maybe I should interview them for Sintopia. And then I rethought that idea.
It's probably a bad idea.
Yeah. So I'm like, no, I'm not going to do it.
Yeah.
But I had that thought for a good, 5 minutes and then decided not to.
Yeah. They're bad news. knowing a couple in real life, it's not worth hanging out.
Say, how would I approach black separatists?
Oh, black separatists?
No, I'm just anyone.
Okay.
So I wouldn't discriminate against who I would want to interview. That's either pro-white or pro-black. I'm like, okay, tell me your story, lay out your argument for me, but necessarily approaching them and saying, hey, I want to do a podcast with you. Tell me your ideology.
Yeah,
may not necessarily go over well. Depending on the pitch.
What was it? Who is that guy? He works at the BBC and he does like these little things where he goes and he like almost infiltrates like these organizations. I can't remember his name, but like he did one on Scientology, but he also did one on the Black Israelites. The people that stand outside in New York City that talk about, that's about like racist shit against white people and Jewish people.
I thought that was like your standard black liberal.
No, they dress in like purple garbs.
No, to be honest, I've never heard of these people.
Yeah. So yeah, like he infiltrated them. They're like black separatists too. They believe that the 12 tribes of Israel were really all black, and that blacks are the real Jews, and that actual Jews are like imposters or something along those lines. And that, they get into some really crazy nutty territory, and like you could totally tell that the guy, when he was in their little sanctum or whatever it was, their little place, like he was like standing before royalty. It seemed like he was in front of a throne, and there was like a group like council and like one big chair in the middle, and the guy was. And he was like intimidated, like, oh shit, I could get like killed at any time. That's the kind of vibe he was giving.
Is because you've done extensive research into cults. Would you consider these people to be more cult-like than?
They're not. I don't think they qualify as a cult. I could be wrong.
Would you have to?
I know that Rick Ross labels a lot of neo-Nazi organizations as cults, and he has a really good argument for a lot of them. Not all of them, but I don't think he classifies all of them. He just like certain groups he specifically names out.
Right.
So, but then again, Rick Ross, not my favorite anti-cult guy, considering he was really instrumental in Waco.
No, it's just a question.
Yeah.
I mean, because you would know more about the criteria for or meeting the definition of a cult than I would.
I'm not sure if they follow, but they definitely have some weird. They have some weird beliefs. Probably might follow better into like the Black Israelites, at least. Probably follow better into like quote unquote hate groups, whatever that means. Since the SPLC likes to kind of really muddy the waters with that.
Oh yeah, and then that was one in the political article. It stated that they're even talking about how vague the definition of hate is. I mean, I guess overall, it seemed like it was semi-pandering to a leftist or a more left of center position, but then it did come back with some more kind of central or maybe center right themes to balance the entire article out. Maybe. The only thing I got was Gurney may or may not have been wrongfully accused of being a haven for the KKK.
Probably.
And and now the mayor is trying to do everything they can, or futilely trying to do what he can to get that label removed from the city, but they've been tainted, so to speak.
Yes, well, Southern Illinois. Was it Southern Illinois?
No, it's Norton. Gurney is.
It's like a suburb of Chicago or something.
No, it is. They said it's 40 miles from Chicago and then 50 miles away from Milwaukee. So it's north. I mean, so well, because my brother and sister, they've talked about Gurney.
Illinois. I don't want to offend anybody. Sorry, Illinois.
Yeah, but like Gurney Mills. I mean, so it's a semi-decent, I guess, small town, but it's got major or an economic impact, like Gurney Mills, and got a huge Bass Pro Shops that well, considering it's Midwest and there's a lot of shit to do there, so it does pull. Those places do it. Sorry, kick the mic, but those places do pull in money. So
yeah, because the Southern Illinois is really kind of like northern Missouri. Actually, up north of Missouri, they would say Missouri, not Missouri. Missouri is more Kansas City and south. That's what's Missouri.
But it can get pretty rural.
I'm saying that's all Midwest. That's what I don't know. So I'll take your word on it. I know the Southwest, and that's it.
KKK out there, it's not out of the realm of possibilities. But that's more north. It's more towards Milwaukee. Yeah, I don't see that.
But no, they had stated even the.
But James says there's a lot of KKK people in Michigan. So
yeah, I can believe it.
Yeah.
Well, Skokie, you had the Neos for the Skokie monk or not? What was it? There was the infamous Nazi march in is like Chicago or is it Burba, Chicago, whatever, made the Supreme Court.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, they're neat.
Kent would say that the ACLU championed it, right?
No, I just know of from
Idiot.
yeah, I just know from studying it. Yeah, there was or studying constitutional law that there was a there was a Supreme Court case that dealt with this. This was back in I think in the 50s.
I think there was one recently. No, not
no,
more recently than 50s.
This was the major one that a lot of people like to cite because the permits got approved for the march and everything, but then when they went to march, no one really turned out, and it turned out to be a dud. Even though a lot of people,
Richard Spencer speech.
yeah, pretty much, it turned out to be a dud, and it wasn't Scope's monkey. That was
Scopes trial.
yeah, it wasn't that. It was Skokie. Skokie, yeah,
Skokie.
the Skokie case.
That was Scopes trial. That had to do with creationism and evolution.
It didn't. No, and then, was it Clarence Dalton? Not Dalton. The fuck was his name?
I don't think that was a Supreme Court case.
Yeah. It was.
Anyways,
it was
trial. Scopes.
Scopes, and yeah,
I don't think Scopes was a. I don't think it was the Supreme Court.
There was.
Think it was
Clarence Dalton, if that's his name. There was. When I was in,
not Skokie, the Scope trial.
Yeah, that I believe was argued. It was argued before a court. I don't know whether it was Supreme Court.
I don't think it was Supreme Court. I think it was kind of like the Dover trial, where it still set precedent, but it wasn't.
Right.
It wasn't. Yeah. Yeah. So, anyways, coming out here, you went to Aces and Nails.
Yeah, I did.
What happened? What was the story?
Oh no, that was a story. It's just me looking up SPLC bullshit.
I thought you were like getting kicked out or something like that because you were like, I'll tell you when we start recording. And I'm like, okay.
Well, no, because I didn't.
Did you get kicked out?
No.
Did you get disbanded?
No, I went there and it was dead. There was like maybe 5 people there
on a Monday night.
Yeah. Well, and this is the non Liberty on the Rocks night. But I went there. I got a couple beers. I did some trolling on Twitter, and yeah, that was it. And then I came over.
Yeah, Sunday morning there, it's so bizarre. It's so weird because it was just me and the bartender, and that was it. No one else was there.
You started humming the Cheers theme?
Like, there was not even other staff there. It was just me and her, and that was it.
You get a number?
No. Okay. No. She had tattoos on her face. It was pretty hot. She looked like a hardcore suicide girl.
Shit, even the suicide girls I see, they don't even have like face tats.
Sydney Vicious does.
Yeah, but
she's got fangs now. Anyways,
a little turn on for you, I guess.
So I did this episode. I don't know when it's going to come out because I did it earlier yesterday, but knowing David, it'll probably come out in like 5 months.
I believe he finally has his shit together. It'll probably come out in the next couple of days.
And you still haven't seen Infinity War. You're going to see it today.
Yeah. Technically, it is
Tuesday.
1. Yeah. So I'll be seeing it later tonight. I already bought the tickets. I did
see it IMAX.
No, I'm gonna go see it at the Orleans because it's what I can afford right now, and I'm taking my brother. I told him I would. He wants to see it, so I wanted to respond.
It's the best one.
I'm reserving my judgment, but for everything I've heard, and it's the Russo brothers doing it, so I have faith in them.
But didn't they also do?
They did Civil. No,
did they do Age of Ultron?
No, that was Joss. That was Whedon. Whedon did Age of Ultron. Whedon did the first Avengers. He did Age of Ultron. Then the Russos come in. They did not do the first Captain America, but they did Winter Soldier, Civil War, and then because of the success of banking on the success of Winter Soldier and Civil War, they got ushered in for the next 2 Avengers movies, which is Infinity War Parts 1 and 2.
Yeah. There's only a couple of them. I'm going to pull up my list. You have the whole list in front of you.
Yeah, I did. So I decided to print up your list, and then I juxtapose my list to the side of it. So
If you really want my full explanation of this, you're going to have to wait for the episode to come out. It's on ZGY. What is it? Zombies Government U?
it's the Zombies Government U podcast.
I don't know
I
what the
believe
website
it's zgypodcast.com.
Okay. Just Google Zombies Governments and You podcast and find the latest episode. It's pointless putting it in the notes because it's not out yet.
No, but you can link ZGY.
Yeah, I'll link ZGY. But so here's my list, and if you want the full explanation, you're going to have to wait for that episode to come out. So I have a number one. This is 1 through 0, and I'll let you know like what my lines are for when I'm.
Well, and I'm saying I'm going to want kind of an explanation on a few because I differ.
Okay.
I differ on many of them, and your number 9 is even I definitely question your number 9 even on Twitter and Discord and all that. So
Number 9. Okay, so one I have Infinity War, and this one was a tough one for me because I really had to think about it. Even when I did my review, immediately after I watched it, in the parking lot of Red Rock Casino and Resort in beautiful Summerlin, Nevada. I was sitting there going like, I don't know if I like this more than Winter Soldier. It was really kind of up there. So obviously number 2 is Winter Soldier, Guardians 2, then Guardians 1, and I know that was going to get some contention probably. Spider-Man: Homecoming, Thor: Ragnarok, Black Panther, Doctor Strange, Iron Man. That's number 9. Iron Man 3, but that was number 9. Then Iron Man, and that's where you have a problem, right?
absolutely.
Okay. Civil War. The first Avengers, Ant-Man, Captain America's First Avenger, Incredible Hulk. Now, this is where the line I draw, where I say, okay, no, these are no longer good, or no longer, good. This is where it starts getting into like either.
Wait, what number did you?
Either okay or terrible, and I think there's only one that I would say is terrible. So this is where I get into. This is the okay zone from here down. So Age of Ultron. Thor, and then the 2 bad ones are Iron Man 2 and Thor: Dark World.
Okay.
I would say that those movies are bad.
So from
Thor: Dark World, I would actually into the realm of terrible.
it's not terrible.
I would say it's absolutely terrible.
maybe terrible in terms of MCU quality, but if you're talking about like Red Letter Media, best of the worst, terrible.
No, it's not. It's not that bad. It's more like The Matrix.
Yeah, and
Matrix, it's more like The Matrix Reloaded.
I'm pretty sure.
No, Revolutions.
Well, no, I'm pretty sure the listeners as well as myself understand your glowing
fan.
hatred of.
But let's just say that the Matrix movies were good. I think everybody will agree that Revolutions was bad. You know, unless you run like a Sovereign Citizen Tech podcast, everybody agrees that movie was terrible.
Who the fuck's that guy?
I don't
even know.
Who cares?
Whatever. So for my list, which actually
you misspelled sovereign wrong. But go ahead.
Spell check. I mean, come on.
Come on.
So for my first 2, I haven't listed the first 2 because it will probably either be a toss up between which is first, Winter Soldier or Infinity War.
So you have a blank.
Yeah, I'm gonna have a blank, but I will be releasing my list on Twitter after all this.
Okay.
So number 3, Thor: Ragnarok.
That really?
Yeah, I went back and watched it a few days ago. I'm like, oh my god, this is fucking brilliant. I loved it in the theater. After time,
you said that you weren't the biggest fan.
No,
of it.
I wasn't, but I gave another chance after watching a couple of
this is actually surprising.
A couple in-depth interviews with was it Tiki or Taki
Wachuti?
Yeah, the director.
Chichi Watuti.
Saw some of the behind the scenes, so I gave the movie another shot. I'm like, yes, it makes sense. I love the way they're going with it. Did you see that video I posted about how? Yeah, and
roommates?
And it was no the roommates, but the one before that saying it was like a sleeper hit. It's one of the greatest movies that the MCU have put out. And a lot of his arguments I agree with. So, if you want to, I guess, throw that link in the show notes if people want to go back and watch and see if they agree or not.
Okay.
Number 4, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1.
You like that one more than the second one?
The second one was a continuation of the first. Now, stylistically, they're exactly the same.
Yeah, the humor was still on point.
It was still on point, but maybe it was a little dragged out in the second one. Continuing the same theme. So it's basically this, for a sequel, it's damn good. But it's continuing the same movie. So if you look at linearly speaking, it's the same fucking movie.
Yes, but I would give it. Here's the reason why, because this one was tough for me, because I think that they were both like all the humor and the direction and the acting and
there was some humor that did go on too long, like the whole taser face that got drugged. The whole taser face.
Taser face was beautiful. Here's why
it was drugged too long for me. You know.
Okay. Here's why. It had two things. First of all, I don't even remember the name of the villain in the first one. He was so forgettable. The second part is it had fucking ego.
I was gonna say Kurt Russell. Yeah, Kurt Russell would
amazing.
probably be the reason why I
and
would,
Baby Groot.
Baby Groot. Yeah.
Just those two alone made it.
What's his name? Ron. It starts with an R. It's not Rondo.
They had to do something with him, right? They couldn't just bring him back in as an adult. Just go, I am Groot.
No,
it's not funny anymore. So Baby Groot was perfect.
Baby Groot was perfect, and I love the. I may have to switch my two
Teenager
Guardians.
Groot.
Teenager Groot. The post credit scene, and that when Star Lord was fucking arguing.
There's more Teenage Groot.
Okay, well,
in Infinity War, a lot more.
So my top 5 are 1 and 2 are to be determined. Thor Ragnarok, Guardians of the Galaxy, Volume 1 or 2. It may switch, but it's one of the Guardians. And because I like,
you have them right next to each other.
No, I don't. I actually have, because what I have is number 3 is Thor Ragnarok, 4 Guardians of the Galaxy, 5 is Iron Man. Iron Man 1, because in my mind, that's what it set the stage for everything. And I believe it is the most...
Here's the thing. I'm not going to say that it's a bad movie. It's a fantastic film. Like, there's not too many bad ones in it.
No, but I'm just saying...
Even with the fatigue.
No, I know. But even what I'm saying in terms of...
I judge it based on what... I judge movies based on it is now. Because if I judged movies based on what they were, I would still like The Matrix. But the fact that I went back and watched it 5 years later, it was like, what the fuck was I thinking?
Right, but the way I'm judging the movies is how close to the heart do I hold them. Iron Man has a very special place in my heart. So it's not going to be my top 3, but it's definitely top 5.
Okay.
Number 6, Captain America Civil War. Civil War is good. It's not great. It's not Winter Soldier style, but it had Spidey
and Black Panther intros. And they did it right.
Well, no, it did. But we're seeing, so you're looking at it, even stylistically, you're seeing the beginning of what, if Infinity War is so fucking great, right? We're seeing the seeds laid with how the Russo brothers dealt with multiple characters and being able to weave an entire storyline
into a giant tackle box.
Yeah. Number 7, I have Ant-Man. Because when I had no
expectations. Yeah.
I know. I had no desire to see Ant-Man. I knew it was coming out, and I remember this was 2015. So this is before I moved up here, and I was still looking for.
This is so weird.
Yeah, I was still looking for a house. So I came up here. We're staying at the Orleans. I'm like, I'm gonna go see a movie. What's there? Oh, Ant-Man. Okay, I'll go see it. And I liked it because it was light. It was comedic. It wasn't necessarily trying to be anything.
Yeah, it was its own thing, but it still had like the same amount of humor that you would expect from one of the more funnier Marvel movies. So yeah, I could see it. I don't know if I'd put it that high up on my list. That's why I put it down more. But again, like, a lot of these things are splitting hairs when I'm on this list.
No, it's
the ones that aren't splitting hairs are like the top 5. No, top 6. Those are the ones that I think are like, so everything like from Thor Ragnarok up on my list. Yeah. I would say is amazing.
Like, top 6. Yeah, top 6.
The top, like those things. Those ones are absolutely like awesome. The ones in the middle are still great, but they're really kind of splitting hairs on where they are on that list. So you could make a case for Iron Man 3 not being as good as Iron Man 1. You could try to make that case to me, and I'd be open to it.
I would absolutely make that case.
But I think the reason why I chose 3 over 1 was because I'm not invested in the comic book accuracy of the Mandarin.
Okay.
And I think that's why a lot of people were.
I
Like,
have
upset by it.
I now have a new. When I get to Iron Man, I'll give you my newly devised argument for that.
Okay.
So now the only thing I liked about Spider-Man: Homecoming was Vulture. Michael Keaton's character was the only thing I liked in that movie.
That was the best Spider-Man movie.
No, it may be the
By
best.
far.
No, it may be the best Spider-Man movie, but I'm not as emotionally invested in Spider-Man
Either am I.
as everyone else. But I'm like looking at
Mine
it.
is Batman,
I'm looking.
and I had Batman and Robin to deal with.
I was there too.
Batman versus Superman.
It was
And Justice League.
But I'm watching Homecoming. I'm like, okay, I like it. God, I wish they didn't have to put Tony Stark in it, put Robert Downey Jr. because that seemed to take away from Spider-Man himself.
I disagree.
I actually had more of an emotional connection with Michael Keaton's character and Vulture than anything else.
So you sympathize with the bad guy?
Yeah, and that yes, because because in Vulture and what they did with that, they created such a compelling antagonist for him because you
Same
did
with
feel
Black
for him.
Panther was the same way.
I didn't get that.
From Killmonger?
No, I didn't.
You didn't understand his.
No, I understand it. I didn't get that emotional pull from him. I could give a fuck less.
Okay.
And I'll tell you what, when I get to Black Panther, we can discuss that. So 8 Spider-Man Homecoming. I could switch it with the next 2 because 9 I have Guardians Volume 2, which I honestly believe Guardians 1 and 2 they're the same movie. Number 10 was Captain America: The First Avenger. I've watched that movie. Because I'm a fan of Chris Evans. I've really liked what he's done with the character.
I'm a fan of Rich Evans.
So am I. Because we both know that.
Yeah.
We both know that Rich Evans' laugh can cure cancer.
Yeah, I know,
mean,
yeah.
it's a thing.
I
11.
think it predict bad movies.
Very true. Number 11, Doctor Strange. Again, I watched Doctor Strange.
Iron Man on acid.
Yeah, it was Iron Man on acid on mushrooms. We've seen it before. I've seen it before. I wasn't necessarily impressed. 12 is Black Panther.
So now we're getting. Where's your line where you're saying that like you're not really enjoying these movies?
14 to 19.
Oh, so you have a big list of movies you
Yeah.
didn't like.
Well, I
have like 2.
No, I have what I liked in the beginning, and then over time, I've come to dislike them.
Oh, okay.
Black Panther is an anomaly for me because honestly, I can't justify putting it anywhere because I didn't hate the movie, nor did I like the movie.
I really liked it.
No, I thought there was a lot of things they could have done. Well, CG aside, the technical aspects aside, storyline wise, they could have done a lot more that would satisfy me. But I'm very particular when it comes to this because
you're a comic book nerd.
Not so much, but there's a lot of things that they touched on with Black Panther. They touched on the idea of a society that the tradition and technology, tradition and progress coexist simultaneously, but they never
And isolation.
isolation.
Those 3 things can't like pick one.
Right, or pick 2.
Pick 2.
Because if they chose to go with the whole technology and tradition path, I can make an argument for that. I can see where they can be technologically advanced, but still hold on to some of their tradition. So they, it reminds them of who they are and where they came from. I can completely see that. And I can make an argument for that. I can make an argument for their hereditary monarchy. And those aspects I really liked. And I wish they would have gone into that more as opposed, But again,
I wanted to see the hospitals.
I just want
the hospitals argument.
Yeah, I
want to see know more about the town.
Yeah, I want to know more about Wakanda. I want to see more of them dealing with like day-to-day shit. I wanted to see how exactly they were able to mesh this idea and whether or not it could actually work.
That's fair, but at the same time, you also had to explain Killmonger.
Well,
there probably wouldn't have been enough time. Unless you wanted to make like a director's cut, like Watchmen.
No,
Ultimate Cut thing.
What
It's like
I
4
want,
hours
what
long.
I wanted to see, couldn't be done because there would be a very minuscule amount of people who would want to see what I wanted to see about Wakanda. Everyone else just wants to see the all-black cast doing their thing, and it did what it did. But for me, I'm watching. I'm like, okay, I don't hate this. some of the accents were a little thick, and it was really difficult to understand.
Well, I work with Africans. I've worked with Africans for like 10 years, so I'm...
Well, yeah, if you can pick that up, but I'm just saying, maybe it was some of the audio specifically, like, what's the actor's name who played Black Panther? There was a couple of lines.
He's from North Carolina, if I recall correctly.
But regardless, his specific acting accent for T'Challa was difficult to hear it sometimes. Maybe it was just the cut I had of the movie, even though it was
From the library?
It was a library, but it was a 1080 cut.
Okay.
So it was like DVD quality or Blu-ray quality, but there was still some of the dialogue was garbled. Didn't necessarily get that from him in Civil War. So it may have, I don't know. It could have been a technical glitch, kind of like the whole 90s CG or the early 2000s CG they used on some of the scenes.
PlayStation 2. That
Yeah.
was what Ralph the movie.
Well, there
maker
was-
said. it was like watching clips from
Reboot.
from a PlayStation 2 game. And you know what? Infinity War had the same problem. Like the part with the Hulk was in the suit.
God, what?
The part with Hulk when the Iron Man suit. There's a reason why he's in the Iron Man suit.
Was it the Hulkbuster suit?
The Hulkbuster suit. He was in the Hulkbuster suit. But like when he took the helmet off and he was just walking around the suit with his actual head popping out, it looked like crap.
It
looked like something you would see on like a YouTube video.
Yeah. Okay. So the first scene, or no, the battle scene.
Mr. Dapperton.
Oh, fuck that guy.
Anyways, go ahead.
No. Okay. So do you remember it was what was the challenge scene when T'Challa's ready to be kind of crowned? They're asking for challengers from the various tribes before M'Baku comes up. Well, they did a pan, right? So there was the waterfall, and you had the blue sky to the right, and you had the was it the mountain cropping or whatever where the tribes were to the left. That looked fine. The tribes and everything, that was all CG. That all looked fine. But then when you look to the right and you see that sky, it's pixelated as fucking hell. I'm like, seriously, how the fuck can you miss this?
I think the explanation is that they pulled people from that team for Black Panther to work on Infinity War, because there was a lot of visual effects that were going on in that movie, and in IMAX format. They shot the whole movie in IMAX.
Well, no, I understand that, but why, if this movie's supposed to be so important, whether it be culturally or
because I think
thematically,
I think they thought it was a gamble. Because think about it.
T'Challa himself is an interesting character. I will not deny that.
But who knew about Black Panther before Civil War? Like you, because you read comics.
No,
the only reason why I knew is because I saw Matt Pritchard talk about it on Facebook a couple of years before.
Anyone
when
who
there was originally talks about there being a Black Panther movie, and someone was there was the whole debate about whether or not Danny Glover should be
T'Challa.
No, Danny Glover should be Spider-Man.
Oh, right. And do the Miles Morales storyline.
Someone brought up like Black Panther as an analogy, and he was like, "No, you don't understand. A white person can't possibly play fucking Black Panther. It's not possible."
No, it's not.
There would have to be a black actor. It would make no sense.
Yeah, because it would completely, if you actually go with the chronology of the character.
I don't remember what they were saying about it, but
well, the character specifically was the first black superhero. Period. You know,
right.
And so historically, Black Panther has significance for those reasons.
Yeah. I heard someone else say that, like, why would they name a character after that? You know, after that racist movement. Like, that I don't know if I buy the argument that's racist. The new Black Panthers, yeah. But the old Black Panthers, they named themselves after the comic book character, not the other way around.
Was it?
Yeah.
Because I thought the comic came out in 1961. When did the Black Panthers come out?
Like late 60s.
Okay.
It was during the whole Haight Ashbury thing, which was late 60s.
Okay.
Yeah.
So regardless, I mean, Black Panther isn't phenomenal. It doesn't deserve the hype it does because there were some story elements. Oh, and something.
I don't know. Michael B. Jordan, fucking Killmonger, was a great fucking villain.
And
they were carrying in that tradition, like you said with Homecoming, where the bad guy actually has a relatable reason. He's not just like, I'm a bad guy, I'm going to smash the good guys.
No, he does. No, it does. It's just that. Well, Killmonger's too thuggish for me because
You're reaching.
I am reaching. But what I'm saying is the movie as a overall isn't as good as people say it is, but it's not. It's nowhere near terrible. It's a solid middle, and
It was better than what you expected it was going to be.
I had no expectations.
Okay. Because I remember you were originally like, I don't want to watch it.
No, I didn't want to watch
the
it.
Politics around it.
Right. So
Which I will admit, when things get political like that, it's like, dude, it's a fucking superhero movie. Calm down.
right, and
It
which
turns
is
me off to
which is
watching
why I didn't want to watch it for the longest time. Now everything's died down. Now people attention has gone elsewhere. I'm like, okay, now let me visit this and give my true opinion.
Yeah.
I'm like, some of it was great. I mean, they had a little bit of comedy there. I mean, was it necessarily forced or not? I don't know. I don't think so. I think some of it. I think a lot of the dialogue was organic. I necessarily didn't like.
Got your list.
Yeah.
All right, no, I got it. It's mine now.
Sure.
Yeah,
I'm.
It's my property now. So where did we leave off? Black Panther.
Black Panther.
So you like Black Panther better than the original Avengers? Because that's the next one on your list, 13.
Because I go back and look at it. I mean, I've watched the original Avengers so many times. Maybe it's because the Black Panther's newer, but there are definitely qualities of Black Panther I absolutely love because it calls to me or to my ideologies specifically.
Oh wow, you have Incredible Hulk really down on your list.
Yeah, Well, go ahead.
Okay, so 14 is Thor.
Thor, the first Thor I thought was good. Nowhere near as great.
It's not bad.
So it's not bad, but it's not great, but it's not Thor Ragnarok. Thor Ragnarok completely changed Thor as a character. And it changed it in a good way. I really liked... Because Thor Ragnarok, actually, because... or Taki, or...
So it changed your... But I think
Thor Ragnarok...
Achuti?
Yeah. Thor Ragnarok actually took and made the character what he was in the comics. He was more kind of the comic relief, in a way. The Kiwi director, who did We Live in the Shadows?
That's going to drive me nuts unless I figure out what that dude's name is. Taika Waititi.
Is it Taika?
Taika
Waititi. But dude, if you watch any of the behind the scenes footage of that, you realize that he's just a generally fun guy.
Yeah, his other movies like his directorial list does not make any sense why he would be like. It's things like
no. They asked him why'd he take it? Why'd he do it? I mean, because they picked him. It's like, well, why don't you do this? He's like, okay. And he honestly thought that Thor Ragnarok was going to kill his career. He was ready to retire after Thor Ragnarok because he didn't think it was going to be any good. And then it blew up.
It was great.
It was great. Yeah.
Futile Attraction. What was the one they did with the
vampires?
Yeah.
Was it What We Do in the Shadows?
Yeah, What We Do in the Shadows.
that was a
how did you go? How do you go from like movies like that to like a fucking Marvel movie with all kinds of CG and shit?
Right. What he said, he had said that it normally in his movies, because he does small budget kind of low key shit, he's used to about a month of filming. He wraps it up. Thor Ragnarok took 8 months, and he's like, my God, the fucking stress I was under was insane. Yeah, but if you go back and watch some of the behind the scenes or some of the interviews they did with him, you get to find out some interesting stuff about him, and it's...
Yes, your 16 and 17 is bullshit, but we'll get into that. Then you have under Thor 1. I'm glad that you put Dark World last. That's
the only thing I agree with you on. That movie was absolute horseshit.
This movie was dog shit.
And the only redeeming quality of that movie was Christopher Eccleston, who played the Ninth Doctor in Doctor Who. When it first came out, he only did one season, and then he's like, "Fuck it, I'm done." And then later on, he's like, "Yeah, I'm going to be in Thor: Dark World." I'm like, "What? What the fuck?" I'm like, "Okay."
So Age of Ultron is what you have under Thor 15.
Age of Ultron should be lower. Age of Ultron was absolute shit.
It was just, I wouldn't say it was shit. It was just boring as fuck. It was like a trudge to get through.
No, going back, okay.
Vision is not, the way they devised him is just not interesting. He's just boring as shit.
It just and I'm wondering if Age of Ultron actually kind of fit that whole sequel slump,
Probably.
I mean, even though it was done by Josh Whedon, I found out there was a ton of content that the studio made Josh cut that dealt a lot with Thor's visions, that dealt with Thor Ragnarok and all this. And there's probably another good hour that they cut out.
Yeah. But do you have Iron Man 2 over Iron Man 3? That's your 16 and 17 is Iron Man 2, 17 is Iron Man 3.
And to be honest, why?
Why would you think that Iron Man 2
No, honestly,
is any better
that
than
may have
Iron
been
Man
just
3?
that may have been
unless you have some sort of bias to say protect the Mandarin.
no. So my bias against the Mandarin, now I've rethought it. I'm like, had they kept Ben Kingsley's, gone with the, do a traditional Mandarin, don't make him, they obviously changed him from being Chinese to Afghani or whatever, but make him a serious character. Don't.
They are.
A little late for that.
No, I think they are.
But if they would have kept his Mandarin,
may have turned that to be a, what is it called?
a retcon.
No, like the whole thing about I'm just an actor. He may have just
No, there's not. No, it's not.
They did some like short.
There's a short.
Like that,
there's a short that the real Mandarin and his people break into the prison to where Ben Kingsley, the actor Mandarin, is to try to kill him. It doesn't happen or whatever, and it's all hail. The short's called All Hail the King.
Yeah,
and it says okay, so this isn't the real Mandarin.
I haven't seen it,
that there's a real one, but had they actually just never done that, kept Kingsley's Mandarin as the legit Mandarin and gone a completely different route, but kept him serious and legitimate, I would have said okay, but they didn't. But I'm not the only one who feels that way. A lot of people, and the reason why
I don't care. I don't really care because I didn't read the comics. So the fact that like it was all building up to be like just a giant MacGuffin almost was worth it to me. It was fucking amazing, and he was funny at the very end.
Well, no,
he was legitimately like terrifying at the beginning. Like you're just like, oh shit, this guy is fucking
he's
making
legit.
People explode and like, what the fuck is happening? And then it's just like, oh, he's just some fucking actor.
Yeah, but
he's just
to be honest, what
drink and bang chicks.
What it did was it combined an old adversary of Tony Stark, which I read in the comics, with the whole Extremis storyline, which I had stopped reading long before the extremist thing had even come.
I don't know what you're speaking.
Okay, so do you remember
No.
Guy Pearce's character that actually created that chemical that actually turned people into living weapons? Well, that's a storyline separate from separate from the Mandarin completely.
Okay.
So the fact that they combined.
Why would you say that Iron Man 2 was better than that? I don't get it.
Because I like Mickey Rourke.
But he was terrible in it. Whiplash was that was a character I didn't care about.
To be honest,
Mickey Rooney.
Yeah, Mickey Rooney. Did you like that picture I posted?
Yeah, that was brilliant. So, sorry, we're never gonna let that go, Jeremy. And that joke's gonna come up again too in the CGY podcast.
It was great. I was listening to it. I'm like, oh, I gotta fucking tweet this and see if I can actually pull the joke, and I did. But no, honestly,
I thought it was so just.
In my opinion, if Iron Man 2 and 3 can be completely retconned and just completely just erased from existence, cool. Just give me the first Iron Man. Because I used to have a huge hard-on love for Tony Stark and Iron Man when I was a kid. But once I really started looking at Civil War, and since my political situation had switched since then, I became very anti-Iron Man.
Okay, and then you have, which I completely disagree with. I thought it was a good movie. Like I was expecting it to be bad. You have
The Incredible Hulk.
The Incredible Hulk as your second to last.
Because I've never been a Hulk fan, even though, what's his name?
I've never been like a Hulk fan when it comes to like media. I don't really like the character's interesting.
God, what the fuck?
But I don't think that he makes for a great main character.
No, he does. He doesn't.
But even still, I thought they did a decent job. Granted, it was with Edward Norton and not Mark Ruffalo.
Well, actually, Edward Norton.
Mark, whatever.
Yeah, Mark Ruffalo. No, Edward Norton wanted.
Mickey Rooney.
Edward Norton. I actually
Mickey
found
Rooney
out.
as Thor.
Yeah. Edward Norton wanted to be the Hulk. He wanted to play Banner in Avengers.
Yeah.
And because I guess the read like, you know,
The movie didn't do that well.
well, no, okay, one, it actually did better than they thought. Edward Norton wanted to play Banner, but because Edward Norton's such a difficult actor to work with, the studio didn't want to pay that, so they chose Mark Ruffalo and went that route. But Edward Norton said he wanted, in the Avengers, he wanted to play the Hulk.
It seems like they're just ignoring that movie, though.
It's canon. The movie, the Incredible Hulk is canon.
Yeah, but it seems like they're just ignoring it.
Well, no, they are. And they're never, and from everything I've looked at, because when they were talking about a potential Planet Hulk movie and Thor, you know, Thor or Planet Hulk storyline in Thor, started digging and found out that, yeah, Marvel's never going to do an actual Hulk movie because, one, the CG costs so fucking much. And there's not, even though there are a lot of hardcore Hulk fans out there, they are separate or different from the actual moviegoers. So they can't justify.
Yeah, and what's his name? Fuck. God damn it, I can't remember either of them now. Abomination. Who's the fucking guy who played Abomination?
Oh, he was the same. Oh God, Tim Roth.
Yeah, Tim Roth.
I would say he was in
Mr.
fucking
Orange.
Pulp Fiction.
Yeah, but he was probably better known in.
Actually, Tim Roth is. I followed when I was working.
He's been in a lot of Tarantino films.
Right, but he's also done a lot of other stuff like Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are dead.
4 Rooms.
Dude, that's a Rosencrantz and Guildenstern's a great fucking movie. But yeah, I used to be on a Tim Roth kick like back when I worked at a movie rental place in Tucson.
And then, of course, Dark World. I can't find any explanation why anybody wants to just... I know Chris Stuckman did a review, and he was like, oh, this movie's great. I went back and watched it just to see him try to bash it, because I just love watching when people bash that movie. And he didn't bash it. He was like, it's really great. It's fascinating. I was like, how is it fucking fascinating? It was boring as hell. Story didn't make any sense.
Well, it did in the greater context, but if you're dealing with kind of like the Galaxy era, like if you had Captain Marvel and the Guardians of the Galaxy and you're doing that, like if Thor Dark World came out now that you've introduced people to that, it'd probably do better.
No. It was bad. I had to watch it in 2 parts.
I'll get teacup with
I
TT.
had to Battlefield Earth it, really.
Oh, God.
I had to force myself to watch it. It was really bad. It wasn't as bad as Battlefield Earth. Let me just get that. There was. I think there was no Marvel movie that I would say was terrible, except for that one. But I would not put it in the same realm as Battlefield Earth.
There's a special spot in hell for Battlefield Earth.
Yeah. It didn't have Dutch angles the whole movie. That immediately makes it better.
I mean that's mine. I mean, Spider-Man: Homecoming, it could switch a lot of places. I mean, I liked Captain America: The First Avenger. I love Hugo Weaving as the Red Skull. I thought that was great.
But it'll never happen again.
No, it won't.
You're just gonna get an imitation of Hugo Weaving. That's it.
Right? Do you know why?
Because he can't stand the makeup.
Yep.
He couldn't.
I mean, and then, yeah, he just like the amount of makeup. He was like, nope, I'm done.
Yeah.
But still, at least we had one Red Skull, and he did a great job. You know, and I thought it was
still alive.
Yeah, and yeah.
I'll tell you that. That's not a spoiler. I'll tell you that he's still alive.
Yeah, because I heard he makes an appearance in Infinity War.
Yeah.
So yeah, they could bring him back at any point. I mean, honestly, they could do a CG of Red Skull and just have Hugo Weaving voice it.
Yeah, but they're not. It seems like he doesn't want to do it at all. They actually have someone who does, someone from The Walking Dead or something, who's doing the voice.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah.
And I thought it was him. I thought it was Hugo. I was like, oh shit, Hugo came back.
Yeah.
Nope. I was watching during the credits, and I was like, oh, it wasn't Hugo Weaving.
No, then they got a guy to do a good enough job to imitate him.
Yeah.
I mean, that's cool. I mean, it's bound to happen. Like they changed a couple things. Like what, Thor? There's no more Jane. I mean,
yeah, they broke up.
Yeah, they officially broke up.
I think that was really kind of like a nod to the fact that like we're done with that.
Well, no,
Thor
but
kind of fish out of water story.
Right, but it completely. If you go back and rewatch Thor Ragnarok, it completely retcons 1 and 2.
Yeah,
I mean, it just completely it tosses it out.
Insults it.
Yeah,
it's a blatant. Well, it's not blatant, but it's if you understood like what was going on with that whole thing, you kind of go like,
yeah,
thank you.
Yeah,
not to insult Natalie Portman. Like Natalie Portman's awesome. Everything she did was great. She was probably one of the saving graces of V for Vendetta. I can't stand that movie now. I used to love it, and then I read the comic, and I'm like, oh fuck Hugh.
Yeah, well, you can.
How could you turn that story into a slight against Bush? Like those regimes were completely night and day, polar opposite.
Yeah, well, you can.
Bush was terrible, but would I rather have the Bush version of that government versus the straight up white supremacist neo-Nazi version of that government? Oh yeah, I'd take the Bush any day.
Yeah, but do you know who executive produced that movie? The Wachowskis.
No, I thought the Wachowskis directed it.
No, they executive produced it. Someone else directed it.
I don't know about all that.
If they did direct it, then well,
Well, Google it. That's what the internet's
great
for.
to Google.
It's just to Whoa, I'll be damned. You were right.
Yep.
I could have swore that was a Wachowski movie.
No, it wasn't. That one thing the way they put the credits, the Wachowski numbers are.
They're the producers.
Right, the producers, but their names are pretty close to the beginning, so you think they direct it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I was like, well. Oh, I told you about where the famous club scene from in the second Matrix came from? From the Wachowskis?
No.
Wachowski brothers used to write for Dark Horse, or it was either Dark Horse or it was something else, but they used to write or draw the old Hellraiser comic, the Clive Barker Hellraiser comics, which is if you go back and you look at that scene, you can see so much stylistic influence from the Hellraiser series to the Matrix, which I thought was interesting. Because even when I was dating my ex-girlfriend, she loves Clive Barker, and so I went on this crusade to get like every Clive Barker comic, graphic novel that he ever wrote and produced. So I was on eBay a lot. Regardless, I bought this one graphic novel for Hellraiser. It was like one of the collections. And I look at it, I'm like, Wachowskis? I'm like, well, shit, this is what they were doing before they did The Matrix.
Yeah, well, that's when they were the Wachowski brothers.
Yeah.
Now they're the Wachowski sisters.
They both switched?
Yep, they're both switched.
Oh, what the couldn't happen to a better couple.
Convincing, isn't it?
Whatever.
Each their own, I guess.
I don't get seriously, and then
They're now Lily.
They're probably going to freak out and just end up killing themselves.
Lily and Lana.
Whatever.
Well, whatever you want to do with your life, that's fine. I don't think they've made anything that I've liked. To be honest. I mean, originally I did like The Matrix, and then I watched it again. And that was
I did love V for Vendetta. Yeah, I did love V for Vendetta just because I'm a huge Hugo Weaving fan. But I do have a copy of the graphic novel, which
they wrote the screenplay, and they were the producer.
Yeah.
Speed Racer was terrible. I don't even know what a Ninja Assassin is. Cloud Atlas. It looked interesting, and then I watched it, and I was like, "This."
Cloud Atlas
is
was what, an anime, right?
No. And then Jupiter Ascending was fucking dog shit.
I vaguely remember that Sovereign Citizen guy saying something great about.
Yeah, he says it's great. He's objectively wrong.
Oh,
But they did Sense8. I heard nothing but great things about that. So,
honestly, maybe their heyday of doing the Matrix, that was.
They should just stick to making shows.
Or
movies aren't for them.
Or stick to graphic novels.
Oh, they did enter they directed the Enter the Matrix game. I actually enjoyed that game. I don't know a lot.
God, I remember playing that on PS2. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Not a fan of the Wachowskis. Not a fan.
No. I did mention if we're heading back to the MCU, I would say because now the MCU seems to be not centralizing, but kind of closing in on the directors that they want on their at least their blockbuster movies, like the single one-offs, like maybe the Ant-Man movies or Black Panther. They maybe the directors of those can actually find their own style, but the hits like the Russo brothers put out with their movies, and then with what James Gunn's put out with Guardians, and then Taki what
Toddy Waititi.
Yeah, Toddy, what he did with Thor Ragnarok is fucking amazing, though I don't ever think he'll do another Marvel movie, which is sad. Because
hold on, let's find out.
Because let's be honest, Korg is a great fucking character.
Taika Waititi.
Taika Waititi.
Taika Waititi.
Waititi.
Yeah, the Kiwi.
Yeah, the Kiwi. I love how it has a pronunciation guide.
Taika Waititi.
Taika Waititi.
Well, thank you, Wikipedia.
Get out of here, ghost.
It's like, no. More specifically, it was piss off, ghost.
Peace off, ghost.
And then he kicks the wall. I'm like, that is fucking brilliant. Because it's the most aberrant, weird shit. No. Oh, what was it?
Champion.
No, what was the bug's name?
I don't remember.
Meek? Oh, yeah. So, Meek, what planet are you from? Oh, Meek's dead. Yeah, he was on the ground and I stepped on him. Oh, he's alive. What'd you say, bro?
Yeah.
You know, and I heard that Korg nor...
We can rebuild it. Everything will be great. Oh.
So there, I had heard, since I've heard a lot of people, they tell me about the movie. So I put some things together. The ship that...
Has it been completely spoiled for you?
Not complete, not like scene by scene,
Okay,
but
so
some of the basic stuff. Like if you watch Thor Ragnarok...
Spoiler alert.
Okay.
But I think if you cared, you're by now.
Yeah, you've already seen
watched it,
or you can logically put shit together, like
all the memes.
The ship that you see in the end of Thor Ragnarok is Thanos' ship. I mean, I put that together. I'm like, okay. And then they say that Korg and Valkyrie are not among the living, but they're not among the dead, nor are they really mentioned. Well, there's a reason. There could be a reason for that. Either, they come back, maybe either they are alive or they are dead, but then they're brought back. But I'm already thinking contract disagreements.
I'm just listening to how wrong you are. Go ahead.
Really? So Korg makes an appearance in the movie. So Valkyrie makes an appearance in the movie.
You're going to be so disappointed in this movie.
Tell me yes or no, because I had heard.
No, you're on your own. You're on your own.
Okay. Because someone else who had seen the movie had said that. Yeah,
I'm wanting to go and watch it with you tomorrow or today. Now, just to be like, just to watch your reaction to it, because you don't know. You just don't know.
And what would happen if it was stone-faced apathy?
It's not.
No,
you're gonna cry.
My face.
You're gonna cry.
Really? Because
you're gonna cry.
I was actually happy to hear that a lot of people fucking die, like they should. So we'll see who.
But who knows? Because there's people that die who are slated to have their own movies soon. So
yeah, we'll see.
Not to give away any spoilers. I guess we're getting no spoilers.
So tell me about this little bitch fest with Dapperton.
No,
the douche.
He's a fucking idiot.
Yeah, the douche.
He's a fucking moron. It's always interesting. Like when I hear people say that I'm an idiot, for some reason they just can't spell your when they call me an idiot.
Like YOU''RE.
Yeah. They don't know how to spell your. But I mean, like, I get the whole, like, Michael Malice, you're welcome thing. I get it. And I use it too. The whole kind of like, oh, you misspelled something, therefore your argument's incorrect. But if you're going to insult somebody for being stupid, at least spell it right. I will say that because it's so fucking ironic. The other thing is
we imposed irony
every single time, and I saw Bill Buford getting an argument with the school teacher on my Twitter feed, and this alleged school teacher was like telling him, like, you wouldn't survive a day in my class, like you don't understand how hard my job is. And like teaching these kids and giving them a quality education. And the whole time she's like misspelling things and saying the wrong your. And it's worth pointing that stuff out, considering that she's claiming to be an educator who's educating your kids, yet she can't spell your.
So what would...
I think that's valid criticism.
I'm curious to hear what Bill's responses were.
Oh, it was,
Did he tear her apart, or you just like?
Yeah, he wasn't tearing her apart. He was tearing apart the educational system, and he was pointing out that, like, you're an educator. You're supposed to be teaching these kids like grammar and English, and you can't even employ it yourself correctly. Why should you be in charge of it?
Or why should
and,
you be
and it's funny
taken
because
seriously?
I've experienced this a couple of times arguing with teachers on Twitter, and for some reason, a lot of them can't spell. And what it always usually boils down to is, and this is what I tweeted, and he ended up retweeting it. It was like, every time I get in an argument with a teacher about public education, it usually comes back as "your" spelled Y-O-U-R. You're an idiot. Come teach TEESH my class.
What?
Yeah, that's what it boils down to every
Okay,
time.
I might be able to forgive the "your," but the "teach."
No, that's what I was saying that they say. So I don't think they've ever spelled teach that way, but it was clear that
Honestly,
my point
wouldn't
was that they
surprise
can't
me.
spell. Yeah, they can't spell. They can't even make like coherent arguments. It's always like you could never teach my class. I'm like, yeah, probably. That doesn't make you a good teacher. Just because you're like, you can function day to day in one particular job doesn't mean you're actually good at it. Like, I work with people who are not good at their jobs.
Well, let me give you an example.
And I know that you probably wouldn't last a day.
Well-
But that doesn't mean that they're good at what they do.
No, and I have a perfect example
Yeah.
of this. Working at Amazon, it's not fucking easy. In fact, it's it's a simple job, but the metrics and how fast you have to work at a constant basis, people will burn out. And like, get that teacher. I'm like, do what I do for a day.
Yeah.
Do what I do for a day. Fuck, do what I do for 2 weeks and keep the consistent metrics that I keep. That's not fucking easy. And it's, even Jeff
You know what? I would make a terrible psychic. But that doesn't mean that you're a great one.
Yeah, no, exactly. It's like
They're all bullshit.
even when I was digging on the history of Amazon and the bad shit people would say about it, sifting through
Is that true? Is that true? Like, you have to pee in water bottles?
Well, there's a difference because that report specifically was in Britain. And it may be site specific, but I could see where some people would do that because they're so fucking paranoid about being what they call time off task.
Okay.
Because everything's measured from the moment you clock in. You're timed on doing a set, activity, and you have to keep.
Okay.
So you always have to keep busy. Like, you have maybe, because everyone's got like a hand scanner, right? And so you maybe have 3 to 5 minutes buffer in between actual scans. So if you scan an item, put it in a bin, then you scan it. You then have 3 to 5 minutes to do the same thing with the next item. And then anything after that is what they call time off task. You accrue X amount of time off task, you get your write-ups, then you get fired. And
okay.
so, but again, those metrics, because those are constantly playing in the back of your head, and you're always kind of, if you're really anxious about it, you're always going to be freaked out. Like, well, am I going to get written up? I'm going to get this. Am I,
Yeah, I think that has to do with kind of just any kind of major corporate, like anytime like a company gets too big, it starts becoming like a bureaucratic government type inefficiency, or like trying to like stop.
You're trying to maximize efficiency in the most efficient way possible.
Yeah,
You're trying to
and
squeeze.
It's not good.
Right. The problem with Amazon is they're trying to maximize and squeeze the utmost amount of efficiency out of a human being, and you can only do that so long from before the person burns out.
Yeah.
And then you fire. I mean, that's why it's like Amazon employees are a dime a dozen. They really are. I mean, they really are. A lot of the criticisms against Amazon are true. Somehow, some way, I've been able to thrive in that environment because I know exactly what's expected of me. I know exactly how they operate, so I can beat them at their own game.
Okay.
But no, even Jeff Bezos said, like, when he first started, and this is on record, and someone that he knew in college or whatever, or someone that knew him, came to apply. He's like, dude, this job ain't easy. And he's true. I mean, it may be actual simplicity in how you do it, but the discipline and the metrics that you're held accountable for, that's the hard part.
I could see that. But not only that, but Jeff Bezos, people like Jeff Bezos and all these huge like entrepreneurs that are like changing the world, probably for the worse, but whatever. They're changing the world. Have like this insane work ethic, and they expect it upon everybody who works for them.
Yeah.
Like Jeff Bezos, like in order to get into Jeff, like people think that like, oh, you have to be lucky. Like, you know, if you Google was just at the right place at the right time, or Amazon was at the right place at the right time. If you really think about it, like a lot of these companies were not at the right place at the right time. They were a lot of the time they were at like they were in the wrong place at the wrong time, but they persevered because they had such a crazy work ethic, and they had like an understanding about dynamics of human interaction, be it in the marketplace or ideas or whatever, and they executed on those ideas.
Well, you know, Jeff Bezos worked on Wall Street, right?
Yeah.
So he worked on
the guy knows his shit. Like, I'm not saying that it's a good thing.
No, dude, have you ever looked at his pedigree? I mean, you want to talk about a deep state agent?
Yeah.
Straight up. So Jeff Bezos isn't his real name. It isn't. Okay, so his mom fucked some guy, got pregnant with Jeff, but then she went and then left, then married someone else, and then Jeff ended up adopting his new adoptive father's name, which is, okay, so Bezos came from. So his adoptive dad, his grandfather worked for DARPA. So there's the whole deep state project, or the whole deep state angle right there. He then goes to Harvard. I mean, his mom married into fucking wealth. So he goes to Harvard, does his thing, then goes to work for Wall Street. Then he gets the business idea for Amazon, quits his Wall Street firm to move to Washington, where he starts Amazon. And then it's just everything from there.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
it drives me nuts when I hear people like, and by the way, this wasn't just like lefties I hear this from, like, oh, these corporations, you know, they're just lucky. They just happen to be at the right place at the right time. They're really not. Like, there was all kinds of search engines that were going on during those days. There was like Alta Vista, there was Hotbot,
Excite.
there was Excite, Ask Jeeves. There was all these companies, and they were all fighting for number one.
And Yahoo is the one that ended up being dominant.
But Yahoo was basically out.
But just
think, web crawler.
Well, no, it was. But then, okay, so mergers happened. Yahoo was number one until Google came out. And then where the fuck's Yahoo now? I mean, I know some people still use Yahoo for email.
Yeah.
Even Hotmail.
Yeah.
Who the fuck still uses Hotmail?
A lot of people use Hotmail.
Is it? Really? Because I see it, I'm like, God, that's archaic. Hotmail seems archaic,
Yeah.
but having something like Yahoo or Excite or Alta Vista, that's extremely archaic.
Yeah, Hotbot. That was my search engine before Google.
I did use Hotmail.
No, Hotbot. Hotmail.
No, I know Hotmail was Microsoft, but
Was it?
Hotmail was Microsoft. Hotmail still is Microsoft. Yeah.
No, that was
Google it right now. I never heard of Hotbot, but Hotmail was Microsoft.
I'm Googling it right now. Okay, shut up. Shut your whore mouth. Did they buy it from Yahoo?
Hotmail was always Microsoft's own thing. Look up Hotbot, because I never heard of it.
Oh, Hotbot was something completely different. Yeah, it was Lycos.
Oh, okay. Was it a subsidiary of Lycos?
Yeah.
Okay, because I remember Lycos.
Carnegie Mellon University.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like there was a bunch of them, but Yahoo was the one that was like, oh, just give us your cookies, give us access to your cookies, and we'll make the internet search better. And that's what everybody liked, because like you could search for something, you could find it. Whereas Hotbot, I remember using Hotbot. It was easier for me to find the things that I was searching for directly. And in the 90s, that was the case. Like if you used the search engine, chances are whatever you were searching for was on like the 5th or 6th page.
Oh God, you're talking about the 90s. I automatically
so bad.
go back to like GeoCities and Angel Fire and all those really bad graphics.
Tripod and members.aol.com.
Yes.
And Earthlink, members.earthlink. My first website was
Prodigy as an email service.
No. My first one was AOL. Then when we moved to Earthlink, I got on that because I could actually just use FTP and upload stuff. My first real website was on members.earthlink.net, then /tilde, and then my username.
Do you remember the original browser war?
Oh, Netscape and
and IE.
And then Opera came around. Everybody was like, "Who cares? We got Netscape."
Oh God!
Like if you knew about it, you chose Netscape.
Yeah, no,
If
I know.
you didn't know about it, you just had IE. And
Yeah, because because of the monopoly that that Microsoft had at that time.
It wasn't a
The
monopoly.
pseudo-
I think more people at the end of the day were using Netscape.
Maybe not. But we're
Because
talking.
what would
But
happen
I
is
think
you would hate it, and then you'd be like, well, then people would be like, why are you using Internet Explorer? Why don't you just use Netscape?
I vaguely remember the whole antitrust. I mean, I didn't really pay attention, but I knew it happened, but I don't know
Yeah.
why. I mean, was it because
Just
that
because it
IE was bundled?
Yeah, it was because it was bundled. Which, by the way, it seems like they don't care about anymore because you can't get rid of Edge on Windows 10.
Yeah, that's
And
why
no one
you.
gives a shit.
That's why you don't use Windows.
I swear I'm not using Windows. This is just a Windows shell. Looking shell. It's a theme for
It's
Linux.
a theme, so just run a virtual machine.
Ignore the Cortana thing.
Yeah.
That's not there.
So just start using Ubuntu. You'd be all right.
Yeah. But there's certain things I need. I need
Well,
my
no,
vidges.
Actually, no,
and
and
a
that.
lot of my vidges aren't compatible with Linux.
Well, no, I get that. So what I do is actually.
And I have a lot of trouble with compatibility with my video cards in Linux.
Well, no, but
no matter what distro I get.
Actually, what I do is I specifically dual boot. Like I've got my main primary OS is, how is it? Ubuntu Mate, because it's different. It's basically Ubuntu or Debian with the old Mate UI.
Oh, they brought it back. They got rid of.
Yeah, Ubuntu Mate is actually really
They
nice.
got rid of the other one.
But then I dual boot.
Unity.
Yeah,
Got rid of Unity.
Fuck Unity. I hate the Unity interface.
I really gave that the old college try. Really tried.
Oh, dude, it's brutal.
Yeah.
Don't like it. Anyways, I dual boot, and then I have my Windows, which I got my games on, and that's pretty much it. And then I have access from Ubuntu to be able to just patch into my Windows distro and copy shit over if I've got anything on there. But they're completely not firewalled, segregated, like OSs should be.
Separate but equal, right?
No, separate but not equal.
I put about it, right?
Yeah, I put more faith in Ubuntu and Linux and everything else. And
I should get more on it, but it's because what ends up happening is I'll go on like a Linux kick and I won't use Linux for a while. Then it's like, but I need to use Vegas to render my podcast.
no, and then that's what I do because from what I found,
which I legally paid for, by the way.
What I've found, and I've had to do that. So I have Sony Vegas. I've got a Photoshop because GIMP. Really difficult to use. It's not as good as Photoshop, and there's no quality.
They just upload. They have a new version out. I heard it's better.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I'll have to check it out. But they don't have a quality audio nor video editing software that I'm aware of that's as good.
Audacity.
I've had issues with Audacity that I can do stuff better in Vegas than I can in Audacity, so that's why I use that. But it's a simple
This is shop talk.
Yeah, but it is. So what? But it's simple since I have the dual boot and I can actually transfer things over from one system to the other. I'll edit and render in Vegas, and then I'll just port it over to my Linux machine, and I'm okay with that. Yeah, okay. It deals with having to constantly reboot. I don't give a shit and keep them two separate. Period.
If it works. It works.
For me, it does.
Yeah, what I usually do is I do all the like actual audio work, like compressing it, equalizing it, all that stuff. If there's noise, then I get rid of noise in Audacity. And then I port it over as a FLAC, like a high-quality FLAC to Vegas. And that's where I piece in all the music and intro clips and everything.
Actually, I do the same thing. But since I record my stuff live, I have no need to use Audacity, with the exception of the compression. I'll compress it in it, export it as I do MP3, size limits, and then I just move over to Vegas and then do that way.
Yeah, I like Vegas.
Yeah, I do too. Vegas works. I mean, if
that's kind of where I got my start in all this editing stuff was, when I was doing audio work, it was with analog, reel to reel.
Yeah.
So coming to digital, it was a completely different world. But I did want to learn how to edit video, so I was making YouTube poops, and that's how I learned how to edit videos.
Yeah. Vegas
and because
is a great
I'm so
program.
familiar with that layout, it's just easier for me to port all the audio in that way than deal with Audacity, because Audacity can be a hassle.
No,
with
it
all the
does. So
controls.
the first couple of episodes of Sintopia, I did maybe like the first two. I know I did the Capitalismus episode, and then Kurt, and then your episode. I did in Audacity. I didn't like, and especially didn't like the way I couldn't specifically manipulate the intro music with it fading into the actual audio. So I'm like, fuck it. That's why I started asking you. I'm like, okay, I'll just start doing it in Vegas. So with Rodino and then with Kingsley, I started doing it in Vegas. A hell of a lot easier.
Yeah.
It really is. So I'm like, okay, I'll
just don't do any of the audio like fixing or correcting in Vegas, because it sucks.
No, the only thing I'll do is
Make sure the audio sounds good in Audacity. Export it out in a high quality FLAC, so that way you're not degrading and then degrading it again with another encoding.
right.
So you want to keep it as lossless as possible.
Right. So basically the only thing I do on Audacity is I'll listen to it, and if it starts sounding good, I mean the Kingsley episode of mine, it's I think it was the room we were in, it sounds airy. I wasn't impressed with the way it sounded, but I kept it anyways. I'll just use Audacity to compress, and then I'll just port it over to Vegas and work everything else. So I got my presets set in Vegas. I just need to port them.
Yeah.
Lolberts Shop Talk 101.
Now we know how you do it.
So in case you want to start your own podcast, here's how you do it.
Yeah, get Vegas.
And make sure don't make the same mistake I did. Don't use SoundCloud. SoundCloud is fucking bullshit. Buy your own domain and learn how to upload your own shit. Now, it took me a little bit to actually do that, but I'm happy I finally did.
Yeah.
And now
I
have full control over it.
But if it seems like, because it can be a hurdle, like Michael W. Dean has a how-to on how to do it, and it's already out of date. Like, it was out of date like a month or two after he uploaded it. Like, all of the plugins he talks about are gone.
Oh, yeah. Even if you go to the original Creamy Radio audio video, he's like, okay, these plugins are now out of date. I mean, honestly, maybe we should do one.
Yeah. We'll have to set up another podcast and do it from scratch.
Yeah, we'll do
a fake podcast just to show how the video is done.
Yeah, and just do it. And then once that becomes out of date, okay, we'll do another one. And if anyone wants to do it, yeah, let Jim. And I finally struggled myself, and I finally know. Because I see like Nick is using Libsyn, David's using Libsyn. I'm like, I don't want to have to depend on another hosting company.
Yeah.
I'd rather be able to,
if you want to trade up, like if you want to go from Libsyn to SoundCloud or vice versa, that's a pain in the ass getting your RSS update like that. Just if you host it yourself, I can transfer my domain to some other company because I'm running through HostGator right now, and it's not going to be that way for much longer. I'm moving.
Yeah, I ended up moving. I started with Namecheap, and I'm happy with what.
Yeah. Namecheap seems to be the best. That's probably where I want to end up going. But all these services, they'll be like, oh, we'll just transfer all your files over, and all your SLQs and all that stuff, all your databases over, and it'll just be like seamless. Okay, fine. But you can't do that with an RSS. Like you can do, and the RSS feeds and everything will still work. It'll still link to the same spots, like through the URL. But if you do that with Libsyn or SoundCloud, and you transfer service, and your RSS feed is something that you have on that site, it's done for. Like people will have to go and find you somewhere else. And a lot of times people will just think that you pod faded and just never bother to even look you up again, or they'll just completely forget. Like, because there's times where I'll notice that like it's not updating or whatever for some reason. Like like Stitcher. I know a lot of people have like had this problem with Stitcher where they're subscribed to someone on Stitcher, and Stitcher doesn't update. So they just think they pod faded. And it's not until like a year later that they find out, like, oh, I missed like 50 episodes.
There was, one thing that happened, because I heard Thaddeus Russell that was on Mixed Mental Arts. That's with Brian Kaplan. Not Brian Kaplan. Maybe, no, Brian.
He did a show with Brian Kaplan?
No, Brian Callen and some
very different people.
Yeah, I know that they are. But anyway, so they were like on it, like episode 2 something. I'm like, okay, cool. Listen to it. I'm like, wait, this isn't updating. So I actually went and checked the actual Mixed Mental Arts RSS feed, and they're like on episode 350. Like, what the, what happened? Well, they went behind a paywall. Like they're going almost exclusively Patreon. based and the RSS feed. So Podcast Addict isn't updating that anymore. So that's a dead end.
Yeah, and you don't notice it.
No, not at all.
So that's why I'm like, just host it yourself. One, it's cheaper because a lot of those domain services, they have like unlimited storage, quote unquote unlimited. It's not really unlimited. They'll hit you on like resources. So if like a lot of people are downloading it and it's overbearing on the system resources of your server, that's when they'll start charging you more. But even still, it's a whole like at least a quarter of the amount that you would pay for like SoundCloud.
Right, but what I'm more about is the actual technical skills. You're developing your own shit.
Yeah.
And granted it may be bare bones basic, but you at least have a starting point in how to successfully run a website.
Right.
Host a podcast. Those are tools to your belt you can add.
But this is why I want something like, but even though this project is dead, like Bitcoin and the whole name thing that they were doing, something like Namecoin, but actually work. There needs to be something like that comes into place, because you already know what happens if the FBI can shut down your domain. They could just take your domain.
Yeah, there needs to be a foolproof way to protect yourself. Maybe Zencash would come up with something like that.
Yeah, I think Zen would probably be the future for something like that.
Maybe. I mean, I've got access to the Zencash Discord, and I've talked to a couple of guys who are actually running operations there. Float it by them, see what they say.
Yeah.
I mean, either that or Brian, because he.
I wouldn't mind having Lolberts.zen.
That'd be nice. Yeah. Sintopia.zen. I could dig that, because they're like, was it domain fronting? That's one of the avenues they're going into. And there was
if they can do the domains, then theoretically I could set up like my laptop just to be a dedicated server, and and that way I could just get rid of all my hosting sites. So long as my internet connection's running, it'll
and that would be the only thing you have to worry about.
My uptime would probably drop a couple percentage points, but whatever.
Maybe, I mean, I asked, I don't know, Brian hasn't necessarily responded to this tweet yet. Have you listened to the latest one where it was talking about Google and Amazon both killed like domain fronting for Signal?
I don't know what domain fronting is. Yeah,
I'm not exactly.
I only got through like a little bit of that episode because
I'm not exactly clear.
I was too busy making dough for my pizza.
Yeah. And the crust is on point, so I give you that.
I fixed my pizzas. They don't look like Lunchables anymore.
But
someone said that my pizza looked like a Lunchable. I was like, it's not that bad. I get it, but it's not that bad.
Those are tiny. Anyways, so
like a large Lunchable.
Oh, large Lunchable, edible Lunchable.
No, now my pizza actually looks like fucking pizza.
Let's get rid of those goddamn anchovies. You'd be all right.
No, this ain't happening.
You fail.
No, I got those rolled anchovies.
Good, you can keep those rolled
the rolled
fishy.
anchovies are great because they're just a little one. It fits in one bite, and it's got little capers in the middle. And capers are amazing. And I didn't know capers and anchovies were a good match. They are.
So I don't know the tech specifics.
I didn't put them on yours, so don't.
No.
Okay.
I know.
All right.
No, I don't know.
I did make you a pineapple pizza that was edible.
Yeah, don't call that a fucking pineapple pizza.
No, the pizza is called Pineapple Doesn't Go on Fucking Pizza.
Ah, there we go. So
that's the name of that
the name
pizza.
of the pizza.
And the reason why it's good is because it doesn't have pizza sauce on it.
No,
it's tomatoes and pineapple.
Should I say what it?
They don't go together.
What it's a clone of?
Yeah. Well, it's not a clone.
It's
that's the premise that I'm starting.
It took an inspiration from the Maui Zowie from Round Table.
Yeah.
Correct. No, so I don't know the tech specifics around domain fronting, but all I know is in foreign countries, Signal got shut down for their domain fronting because of the AWS and Google. And I'm thinking, well, maybe if they partnered with Zen because they're both dealing with encryption in a way, maybe that partnership would be beneficial. I didn't know, so I actually asked Brian for his input on that. I asked him if it would be a beneficial partnership.
Be on his Q&A?
I hope so. I mean, I do. I mean,
what do you enjoy more, the Q&A or Sovryn Tech main?
I honestly, I get bored with Sovryn Tech main. I enjoy the Q&A. because there's a lot of
I
stuff.
wouldn't say I get bored with it.
There's a lot of
But
stuff.
I do like the Q&A more.
I do like the Q&A, but there's a lot of stuff I just don't want to know about. I mean, I know Brian's all about the tech and all that, but there's very specific things I want him to deal with, or I want him to talk about, or maybe.
Well, that's why you need to ask him more questions. I heard he's down on questions, so I want to get a relationship romp. But every time I ask a relationship promise question, it's usually bullshit.
I did
Like I had like this whole thing about how I met some girl at a noodle shop.
Well, it's because
an
you
Asian
always
market.
started with the fucking.
And then it went on this thing, and then like they go, like I ended up inviting her back to my place, and we had a great time. Or then I went to her place, and we had a great time. And then the next morning, she had cereal. And I was like, "What do you want for breakfast?" And she was like, "I want Reese's." And I was like, "What? Candy for breakfast?" And she's like, "No, it's a taste. It's just part of a breakfast Reese's cereal." And I was like, "Wow, candy for breakfast." And I was like, "So basically, what's your favorite kind of wine?" Or something like. Like the story was completely irrelevant to the final question of the whole story. I think this person is fucking around.
I asked. I was actually on. No, I do want to be. I need to get my webcam working, but I do want to be on one of his Google Hangouts.
Oh yeah, I just every time I do.
Well, no,
something like
the
that,
problem is because the time difference for me, like, because he hosts it so or it's late.
it's usually like 4:00 in the afternoon when I'm
But
asleep. Or
right,
something, yeah.
no, 4:00 in the afternoon for him is like 12 or 1 o'clock for us. I'm like, I'm not even
It's
awake
late
that
night.
early.
Yeah, it's usually late night for me. My late night is noon.
No, it's like I usually get up around 2. I'm like, if you slide it like that, I'd love to do a Q&A with him. I mean, I was on there for the chat. It's one of the chats. I was just asking him a
I
whole
used
bunch
to
of
ask
tech
questions in the
yeah.
chat. Yeah.
No, it's great.
You just be laughing because like these aren't serious questions. But I'll answer them anyway.
No, but it's a great time. I would enjoy more of a one-on-one or maybe just a small group conversation with Brian. Than I enjoy that more than his general Sovryn Tech episodes.
Yeah. His Patreon content.
It's
For the most part, is
it's
usually
worth
better.
the money.
Yeah.
And I'll skip
Worth $1.
And yeah, it's worth $1 because that's all he's charging. I mean, he's being gracious for that. But I'm like, there's some stuff I don't care for. No, I'll be honest, like the Star Trek, Star Wars content.
Yeah.
I know he's all about that. Cool. I'm not. And he even says, if you don't like it, just skip it. I'm like, I do. Okay. I mean, yeah.
I haven't heard the new stuff with Robin with the Star Wars stuff yet. But I'll listen to like the Star Trek one, and generally I just don't care about Star Trek, and it's interesting for me. But I don't know.
I don't care about either, but I know like.
But either way, his opinions on other things are just absolutely god awful.
With the exception of synthwave.
You know what? Like,
oh my god!
I think there's something wrong with him because he reviewed like 3 good albums in a row, and I'm like, are you okay?
No,
is this a warrant?
Wait. When he reviewed,
when he contacted by the government, is this your way?
Wait a minute.
Telling me that
when he reviewed Perturbator, I'm like, oh, dude, he's there. He's fucking there. And then he's saying that Ellen was the one to introduce him. I'm like, oh, God, she's there too. I'm like, that's fucking great. I'm like, have you heard of
What was the other one? Oh, no, it was Judas Priest before that. The new Judas Priest album.
Yeah.
It's fucking amazing. It's like probably one of their best albums, like ever.
Well, no, so I asked him.
Judas Priest,
like,
they're still rocking.
Like on Patreon, I asked him, like, dude, have you heard with Dance with the Dead? I fucking love them. He's like, dude, I just bought their entire discography. I'm like, oh, we've got to talk about it. Fucking godly.
And what was it? And then I asked him about Trap Mask Replica, and he actually liked it, and I was like, okay. He has got to be in contact with government. I think this is his warrant canary. Like, I'm not listening to shitty music. Someone help. I think this is warrant canary.
No, so
But I think a lot of people would say that Trap Mask Replica is shitty music, and you're objectively wrong.
It's all right.
I really don't care if people like it or not. That's not why I get people to listen to it.
It should be listened to at least once or twice.
Yeah.
If not, or
if you don't like it, I don't care. I just want to know what you think about like what's going on with it.
Oh, what was it? Like you asked me, like, because I told you I was listening to it on the way when we were doing Giordano's that one day. He's like, what'd you think? I'm like, well, I'm halfway through, and yeah, I can understand like the Zappa influence, or it sounds like something Zappa would do. There's more to it, but it's not my thing. I mean, give me something like electronic.
I was like, I don't care if it's your thing.
Yeah,
I don't care if you
It's
like
like
it.
No, I'm just like,
That's not why I asked you to listen to it.
I'm just like, oh, okay.
And I thought it was great that our April Fool's episode was just basically playing that album.
Oh, you got,
And people are still like,
are they still burned about that? My God.
People are still
and
going
no one put,
God damn it.
no one put together like April Fool.
Well,
like,
no, there was a lot of people who did. It was just that one person. We got a May Fool on May 1st. Someone commented like
that troll.
He was like, this is bullshit. It didn't have anything about Antonopoulos and in this quote unquote music unquote. And I was like, okay, that was the only part that was triggering. You're calling it quote unquote, putting music in quotes.
But yet that person was actually actively looking for dirt on Andreas.
Yeah. So fuck you.
Yeah, fuck you. It's like, dude, I've met the man. I mean, he's like,
they're just looking for some, because they probably don't like Bitcoin or whatever. And he's such a good person and talking about it that they're trying to find some dirt on him to
Do you remember when we were there? I don't know. Were you? Oh, I know you weren't there. It was.
I've never met Antelope.
You didn't meet him when he was here for Freedom Fest?
Nope.
I could have sworn I introduced you.
Or you probably did, and I just don't remember. Because you know what? Because you know how bad I am with remembering people's faces and names.
That's true. I was going by and saying, "Hey, here's so and so. Here's."
And I was like, "Who?" No, but the best part was like, there was a girl that I used to be subscribed to back in the day, and I ended up unsubscribing for whatever reason. I just got bored with her content. And then I ended up subscribing after we met, and I was like, okay, dude, you have got to learn how to pour beer. You pour like Mike.
Hey, I'm no bartender. Whatever.
Pour it slowly. You just don't dump it in. Anyways, and I was sitting there talking to her. And
Life
we were talking
goals:
about
how
Berwick.
to pour beer.
We were talking about Berwick, and I thought he was a con artist, and she was like, well, and she was entertaining it. She was like, but she was still kind of skeptical, which is a healthy kind of thing.
But the idea was
I was explaining to her like what the deal was, and she's like, okay, this is all kind of fascinating, thank you. And then like after she left, you were like, you knew who that was, right? And I was like, no, I just thought it was some rando. And like that was Brave the World, and I was like, oh, I know her. I used to be subscribed to her back in the day. Maybe I should subscribe.
Oh, Julia? Yeah. No, I remember
having a conversation with this person. I just thought it was just some person that was just there hanging out or whatever.
I remember that, but no. So when I think it was later on that night because you had to go to work. So and I just was hanging out with Will and Julia, and then I think Angela had made an appearance by then. That's when Berwick got really fucking drunk, and I took that picture of him with him looking like he was going to kill himself. No, but so you had Berwick who was completely like fading out. You know, he was just contemplating life, and maybe he had a secret razor near his wrist. I didn't know. But no, anyways,
do it.
Yeah,
do it.
So
do it.
But Andreas was sitting next to him, and I remember have various conversations with him. Good guy.
I remember we should talk about Berwick for a second, because I mean, like, sure we talked about the scams, but I don't think we ever really talked about like how legitimately crazy this dude is. I don't think we've ever actually done that. I remember we talked about like his Chilean scam. We've talked about his
the passport scam.
The passport scam. I've done videos on that.
Yeah,
that are fairly popular.
Actually, and I admit that I entered before I moved to Vegas. I was working for Walgreens. This was back in 2015. I had actually entertained the idea of
moving to Chile.
No, of trying the whole second passport route, but that would mean I'd have to get a first passport and then trying.
Yeah.
But luckily, like this may have been something, because the same day I was looking at that, I ended up getting fired from Walgreens, and then my life just took a turn for the worst. But maybe it was the
worst. Worse. Not worst. It doesn't take a turn for the worst. It takes a turn for the worst. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's true. But
I'm grammar fagging because I should be a teacher. Maybe I should be able to teach TEESH for class.
but
your E class.
But maybe in reality, all that happened because maybe I was going down a path. Like, being a follower of the Dollar Vigilante, subscribing to the newsletter and whatever, thinking about getting the passport, and then life actually happened. Maybe that saved me from actually being a real dumbass.
Yeah, it's probably for the best, I guess.
No, I look at it as the best, because then after that, there was a point, because I was subscribed to TDA, the Dollar Vigilante Homegrown, which was supposedly a newsletter dealing with if you're going to stay in the U.S. and not expatriate, how do you survive? You know, it was a monthly newsletter. Well, there was a point where I didn't receive like 2 or 3 months, and I had paid for a year. So I tried emailing the site directly, Berwick on Facebook, TDA on Facebook, and then all of a sudden didn't get any answer. So at that point, this is when I realized, I'm like, yeah, this is probably all a fucking scam. Fuck them.
Yeah. So yeah, like Berwick, I came across his channel because I think he did an interview with Molyneux when he first started doing Anarchast, and this is before
Anarchast is so terrible.
Yeah, it is. And I was like, okay, this is interesting.
So Jim, tell me how when you first became an anarchist.
Oh God. That's basically the kind of questions you get. When did you become an anarchist? And then like he'll answer real quick, and then he'll be like, "Oh yeah, like I became," and then he'll explain his story again. And you're like,
"Would you like to know more?"
I mean, you can tell he's been drinking.
Can I tell you how great of a movie Starship Troopers is?
Anyways, I was like, okay, this is interesting. A new anarchist show. I'll subscribe to it. And I think like 1 or 2 episodes after that, he did an interview with the guys that did the movie Thrive. Are you familiar with this documentary?
I remember you talking about it on The Fiends. I had stopped listening to Berwick by the long, I'd say before he did Thrive. There was a point where I just stopped because I would listen to.
So you were doing it before Anarchast?
No, when he first had Anarchast, if there was someone I knew, maybe like Cody Wilson or if it. Angela Keaton, or if it was I don't know if they've necessarily been on. I don't want to say they were when they weren't, but if it was a name I recognized, it's kind of like with Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
If there's a name I recognize, I'll listen. If not, I don't pay attention. Same thing with Berwick.
I have a feeling this is going to play music when I first load it, so yep, turn it down. Oh, caught it just in time. Let's see, reverse order. The oldest first. Yeah. So yeah, like when did he? So yeah, Molyneux was up with this episode 3. And then Thrive was...
When did he have... what was the fucking chick's name? Angel, whatever. She ended up...
Foster Gamble and Kimberly Gamble. It's episode 20. What the fuck? Yeah, so those are the Thrive people. So Thrive, in case you don't know, Thrive is this documentary that came out in like 2011.
Why the hell is Wes Bertrand on? Oh, God.
You don't like Wes Bertrand?
No, I'm actually ashamed that he appeared on Anarchast.
Oh, a lot of people have.
I know, and I feel bad for him.
I wouldn't be surprised if MK's on there somewhere.
No, she would have been calling her ass. I mean, she would have been probably like...
Not Bobby back in the day, no. Not when it was...
Actually, so I'm going to have to...
I could be completely...
Edit or, change what I said, because I said maybe... You're talking about the Thrive episode. It was like episode 21. I'm looking at it. I'm like, Wes Bertrand. I think I listened to the... See, there's Tucker.
Stephanie Murphy's on there, so why not?
There's Tucker. Well, I didn't know. I wasn't a fan of Murphy nor Brian at that point. I didn't know about Sovryn Tech at that time. Actually, because God, what was it? Because the time the time I fell out of the Berwick camp was when, because I was friends with him on Facebook, and do you remember when he made that post about someone trying to abduct his kids and he was going to get an army of ninjas?
There's Davy Barker. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, and he basically posts like the Navy SEAL copy pasta.
Yeah, well, I listened to the Dobby episode.
I got a team of assassins, of cipher assassins, crypto anarchist assassins. Amanda Billy Rock. She's here in Vegas now.
Yeah, she is. Because we met her husband, boyfriend, I don't know.
Whatever it is. Yeah.
Significant other.
There's Kokash. Oh, there's Josie the Outlaw. I bet she's regretting that. I'm guaranteeing.
I'm guaranteeing she's regretting a lot of stuff.
Carlos Morales. I'm sure he's regretting it now.
You think so?
No, so. Absolutely no, so. Absolutely. I talk to him every once in a while. I've been on two episodes of his show. Neither were released, as far as I know. Oh, no, there's MK. I told you. I was like, I think I remember MK being on the show.
Oh, God, MK.
Yeah. And then there's that guy, T.
Oh, God.
Lauren Rumpler.
Yeah.
Roger Veer. So yeah, it's and then there's Ben Stone, but this one I think also has
Oh God, Ben.
Michael
no,
Phelan in there too.
no.
Lynn, there's Lynn Ulbrich.
Well, Lynn makes sense, and I just remember that.
There's Ian Freeman.
Did you realize that this came out of nowhere?
Derek Freeman.
Yeah, that makes. Yeah. You know, Lynn actually friended me on Facebook recently. I'm like, where the fuck did this come from?
Ernest Hancock.
Ernie. Good old Ernie.
You got suckered.
Tom Woods.
Hey, we're getting on here. We're talking about Anarchast with Jeff Berwick, and he's talking about this, that, or whatever, and talking about the cryptos and what have you. And I'm just sitting here like, whoa, man, talking this all kinds of crazy stuff. Talking about how vaccines would kill you, everything, and just trying to get that message out there.
Do you remember when I invited? What was it?
I was not expecting that. I kind of be. I was like, "Who is this Ernie Hank?" I didn't really know who this guy was when I went to Jackfest.
Oh, when I invited,
I like him. I'm not like I'm making fun of him, but at the same time, I really do really like him.
I invited you. I'm like, dude, I'm going up to Ernie's camp. Why don't you come? You're like, nah, man, I don't know him. I'm like, dude, I'll fucking introduce you. Shit. And you ended up coming up later, the second time we went up there, didn't you? Because I know
I ended up having chili with him.
Yeah,
I don't think it's kind of a bizarre situation, and it's really kind of weirds me out what happened because like I didn't know what was happening because you know me with social interaction, I'm just a fucking weirdo. Like,
right. Well, no, which
is
is why I was trying to say come up with me and then Derek Slopey.
Yeah, I thought that James Babb was telling me like to come up and have chili with him, but I didn't know, so I walked up this hill, and it seems as though I wasn't really invited, so I ended up leaving. But at the same time, like I was also getting when I was on top of that hill, I was getting some notifications to my phone, and I was like, "What the hell's going on?" And fucking like my internet service was actually like they were threatening to cut it off because I ended up changing credit cards. So I was in there like down there trying to get it to my phone to work, and then I was like, "Fuck it, all right, whatever." Then I went in my tent and changed my clothes because it was dirty from walking around up there. And by the time I came out, he was looking for me. He was like, "What's going on, man?" And I was just like, and it was just kind of awkward from then on out with Ernie. So I was just like, I didn't know what to say. So I was just like,
Well, Ernie,
I didn't want to tell him that I felt like out of place or anything. So I was just like, just fucking my internet thing was just cutting out. So that's why I left. But that wasn't entirely, it was some of it, but it wasn't entirely it.
But you remember, he did give a
I started to get the idea that he thought that I was lying to him, which I guess I was lying by omission, halfway. It's half true.
Yeah.
So,
but that got sorted out though, right?
No. I haven't talked to him since. So, I don't think he's mad at me. I just think he's just kind of weirded out that I would lie about something like that. But at the same time, I wasn't lying. I was just kind of socially awkward.
But he did. Well, no, he ended up giving a shout out to us.
He did.
There was.
I don't really listen. Like
it wasn't. It wasn't on the Ernest Hancock show. It was at Jackfest when they were doing that kind of that free form. You know, if you wanted to come up and say anything, he's like, dude, we even got people from Las Vegas out here, and he was talking about us. I'm like, there we go. You know.
Yeah, I should have done a speech or something. But I think that if I'd done a speech at Jackfest, it would have been like very iconoclastic. Even the libertarians would have been like, hey, let's talk about why I don't like the NAB.
Dude, that would have been fucking.
And I probably would have had some interesting debate out about that. Like, hey,
but that's the point.
I'm going to give you my case, and then I would like anybody to come up here and argue with me.
Get Derek Bros to go up there and argue with him about the nap. I'm like, oh god,
Derek Bros.
But no, that'd been
good. Jim's just over there talking about the NAP, and he's talking about like wanting to kill people, and I'm just sitting there going like, whoa, I don't know if this is appropriate, man.
Do you realize that do you want to know where the real inspiration, because I kind of had this idea but really solidified it for fourth wave Meninism? Were you there with the conversation where Ernie was talking about Humans, the BBC series? Like we were at Derek's or at someone's camp. Was it James? I don't remember. But Ernie was there and he was talking about humans, and we're all, smoking and drinking and doing our thing. And then, I remember that. I'm like, so I remember later, I'm like, God, I should turn this into something. So yes, I have Ernest Hancock to thank for fourth wave Meninism.
Were you familiar with Victor Pross? He tried to be somebody, but
the name is familiar, but like everyone else in the Liberty sphere, they either die or
he kind of faded out because he backed the wrong horse.
Yeah. Dude, are you subscribed to Kokash's Twitter feed?
No.
That's funny.
What happened?
And they're just looking. I know, just looking at it. And what I know now is like he's like, we're going to end government. We're going to do this. I'm like, you do realize once you do that, people will probably try and kill you, right?
That, no, not even that. Just you do understand that by running on the libertarian ticket alone, you're not going to win, right? He's not in a national election. You'd be lucky if you can get on the debate stage.
But let's assume, for argument's sake, that he becomes supreme ruler of whatever, the U.S., and he decides to end government. Okay, he ends government. All government services are now null and void. What happens then? Chaos, death. I mean, the purge. I mean, let's be honest. There are many people who, white nationalists, black nationalists, fucking Israeli, whomever, right? They would take that opportunity to enact their will with violence.
Yeah. Like I don't think that it. I think this is the Rothbard button. I think Brian actually did a show about this. The Rothbard button. Would you press a button if you could end government immediately?
Actually, even Ben Stone said, "Oh hell no," and gave out a great reason for why.
Yeah, and
because the unintended consequences would be catastrophic.
Yeah, because what would end up happening is you just create a power vacuum. Before you could even start talking about like at least on a national scale or even a world scale, you at least need to get the conversation going so that a lot of people are on board with the idea of like, okay, now at least we have that mindset of going like, what without the government, who would build the roads? As long as you get rid of those questions for every single facet of government, then you can actually start talking about like, okay, let's start reeling back to government or getting rid of the government. But until that day, all you're going to do is you're going to have a populace who goes like, we need a government, we don't have one. Who are we going to look to? And you're going to turn to the worst of the worst.
Well, right, and let's be honest, warlords or whomever. So,
and Rothbard said he wouldn't press the button.
So might makes right. I mean, we accept that premise. So we take that in a no government scenario. So the cream rises to the top, or the most violent rises to the top. Warlords then become de facto posses or whatever, and then they become their own governments.
That's what would end up happening.
And then so history will repeat itself.
If you had a group of people in an area who all decided like, you know what, we could do without the government. Here's how we can probably provide for services, and whatever doesn't work, we can work out through different types of different means of
one of the
doing things and see which one wins out. Then in that area you can say, okay, we can get rid of government, and then
one of the questions
figure out what to do. But right now that's not even remotely
one of the questions I want to ask Brian.
And fascism will definitely not lead us on that path at all.
But fascism will take root. That's a different aspects of fascism will take root. Period. It's going to happen. It will happen. Mm-hmm. Maybe not full Mussolini, like economic and political fascism, but you've already said. I mean, we're already seeing aspects of fascism have already taken hold in the U.S. Period.
Oh no, yeah. I would say that like we were definitely on the Mussolini. We were definitely a Mussolini state when Roosevelt was in office, for sure.
No, but okay, but extrapolate
and definitely Woodrow Wilson.
But okay, do that, but extrapolate the time. So extrapolate those same policies. Those same policies have not changed, maybe alter a little bit, but in reality, America is still a fascist state. A watered down fascist state, but a fascist state nonetheless.
So there's economic fascism, that there's definitely a major...
absolutely.
But I would not say that socially it's a fascist state.
No, it's actually been watered down, or the message has been kind of decreased. But if you look at it, America is a economic fascist state.
It has elements of a fascist
actually
state.
America may be the best representation of fascism.
I don't agree.
Of economic fascism. Well, no, because it allows.
There's a lot of it. I'm not.
It allows for state control, but it also allows for individual prosperity. But there's also the cartels and everything else. I mean, it's the best of both worlds in a really twisted way. But fascism wasn't the topic I want to get onto. What I wanted to ask...
Because it's a dead topic.
Yeah, no, it is.
They outright tried.
There's a book I'm actually going to buy. It's called Anarcho-Fascism, written by a Swede, right? So he labels out the idea that somehow anarchism or anarchistic thought and fascistic thought can actually coexist in a weird type of symbiotic way. So I'll read it and I'll do a book review and I'll try and tear it to pieces if I even care.
If it's true, or if it's not true.
I don't
It
know.
is true.
Well, I've already found fault in his one of his opening statements. Regardless, that's
but do you know what? Like,
but not someone to go there. What I wanted to ask, what I wanted to say was,
anyways,
when I do a hangout with Brian, I want to ask him honestly, is the Free State Project successful because they're a homogenous organization? And by homogeneity, I'm speaking of
homogeneity.
My apologies. Not race.
I'll let it slide because alcohol. Go ahead.
Yeah. But not racially, but they're homogeneous of thought. They're all roughly, I mean,
don't think that's even true.
But even if you look at a divide, even you look at a pie chart, if the vast majority of people are of similar thought, of like mind, period, just similar ideologies, they will coexist and they can actually build maybe a better society together. But that's my entire point. If you can actually get people with like minds, the race isn't an issue if you're of like minds, because there are black libertarians, correct? There are Mexican libertarians, Asian, potential.
There's Eric July and that guy T.
But what I'm saying is,
and Larry Elder, arguably,
right, and Thomas Sowell and all those other people. So in the end, race doesn't matter.
All four of them. All four of those people.
Race doesn't matter.
By the way, I'm just being facetious.
Race doesn't matter, but ideology does. Or your kind of your worldview, frame of mind.
See,
but if you get those people together, can you create a better society?
But I don't think that.
Yes.
I think those people make up what the Free State Project is, because Brian is like a C4SS kind of guy. He's like Center for a Stateless Society type of markets, not capitalism. Which, by the way, is a fucking garbage book. I tried reading it; it was just garbage. But like that's where he's kind of coming from. And there's a lot of other, especially in Keene, there's a lot of those kind of people, like Ian Garrett.
But he's not in Keene.
Garrett Ian. I can't remember which one is his first name.
But he's not in Keene, is he? He's in Manchester, right? Or is he in Keene?
Oh no, he's in Manchester. But I'm talking about there's him, and then there's also a lot of other people in like Keene. Not saying that he is in Keene. What I'm saying is like there's a lot of people in Keene that are like so Garrett Ian, I think that's his name. Like I remember he was like talking about like, oh no, there's been anarchism in Spain, and he seems to be more on the left, kind of left libertarian, and I was like, please don't use Ukraine and Spain as an example of like anarchism.
No,
because they were basically de facto states that end up having like gulags,
right? So, but my main
and concentration camps, quote unquote, and it's even like admitted in their own literature that they had these concentration camps. No. And you can go and actually read stuff by like not from like some right wing author. You can go to like, was it the Libertarian Communist? What the fuck is it? There's some website like Libcom or something like that, and see like articles by Noam Chomsky talking about how they had all these things, these terrible things, but it was okay because it was for the greater good.
No, so my argument is this: is that if you live in a homogeneous state, not the official state capacity, I'm just saying you live in a group with like-minded people, period. Well, if you decide to establish a society, can that society prosper? My argument is yes, but the argument is for homogeneity, period.
Of ideas.
Yeah, because when you say homogeneity, people automatically think race. Yeah, but no, but I'm going clarify that ideology, and I think that's where things need to go. But can you really have that? I don't know.
Yeah, because it seems like they don't even either.
Yeah, so
the only thing that they agree with is that like government sucks.
Well, okay,
on one level or another.
Okay, but I mean, isn't there a de facto style government or whatever in Keene? I mean, you have people who are taking control, and there's a hierarchy, and yes, hierarchies will always exist.
Yeah. Period.
Tribes will always exist because you always need to belong to a group of people in order to survive.
Yeah. I know, James, and I like James. I disagree with him on a lot of stuff, but like James and Brian and there's a couple other people that listen. I'm not going to name it because it's one thing to like talk about content creators. It's another thing to talk about like like listeners of a show. I think that's a line that I usually tend not to cross unless they say like, oh yeah, go ahead and talk about me. Who are saying like, oh yeah, but you know, you can't have anarchy, you know, in the traditional sense because it means no rulers. And if you work for a company and like you have a boss, then that's a hierarchy and that they're ergo bad. It's like, that's not necessarily true. There are like, for me, I don't know if I would want to run a company. Like we were talking about how I wanted to open up a bar and have a pizza oven in there. But I don't know if I would actually want to run the company that's organizing the business. What I really want to do is just
make the pizza,
yeah, and make the pizza, and you know, do what I want to do, and collect a salary where I'm guaranteed a certain pay for the work that I'm doing, and not have to worry about the burden of deciding what to do with the company, what kind of future prospects we want to do, to expanding the kitchen. Like, no, look, I just want to do the pizza and then fucking leave me alone. And that's just the kind of person I am. I'm not the person that wants to run a business. Like, sure, it's great like having a podcast, but that's a completely different world. You know, creating like entertainment content is a completely different world from then operating a business where I'm hiring employees and or like talking about how I want to structure the company and what kind of products I want to create and which ones I don't want to create. Just give me a pizza oven and a cool looking bar, and we're good. Someone else can organize all that stuff, and you can take the risk and get the rewards from it. That's just, you know.
Yeah,
I'll help do social marketing, but that's about it. You know, or marketing. I'll do that.
Yeah, but I mean, but the people, I mean, because you even say on your Twitter page you're anti-tribal. Now, I understand what you mean, but on a basic human level, people are going to be tribal. Period. There's always going to be groups.
I'm not saying,
but what bothers me about, I guess, a lot of libertarians.
We're gonna get into the tribal debate. We're gonna spank you again.
No, the tribal debate is because they're not necessarily defining terms. If they say they're anti-tribal, that just it's a blanket statement, as opposed to saying, "Look, I really don't like political tribes," as opposed to. But in the end, I mean,
yeah, I oppose
But you see what I mean? I mean, so there is that distinction.
The whole anti-tribal, quote unquote, movement, if you want to call it that, like originally started in like Africa, where they were actually talking about actual like tribal people, right? And it kind of carried on. I know like Penn Jillette has talked about like hating tribes, but when he always talked about it, it was always in terms of like, stop defending people that are just because they're in your quote unquote like whatever tribe. Like if you have like a family member who's getting out and getting drunk every day and like smashing up windows, just because he's a part of your tribe, your family, you shouldn't just automatically defend them. You should, you know, try to sit them down and go like, hey, sorry about your thing. I'll talk to him and try to do whatever we can do to fix it. And sit your cousin down and be like, dude, you're a drunk fuckface when you're drinking. Stop it. And then the same thing with ideology as well. But at the same time, it doesn't mean like you can have a tribe and feel like connection and bondship with out altogether. It's not just complete, absolute rejection, right? Like I'm against alcoholism. That doesn't mean I'm against drinking. And by the way, this is also coming from a guy who's a big fan of the Las Vegas Golden Knights. So I think for the most part it can be a vice, and if you treat it like a vice,
well, no, and I
not
heard
like a
that.
spook, then
I heard that, and I agree with that. It's just that because even though the people maybe it's just because the internet, because you're taking away voice inflection, and maybe someone saying something sarcastically when they're not necessarily describing that they're saying something sarcastic. You see what I'm saying?
No.
The internet takes away...
Well, I know what you're saying, but I don't know.
No, so, I mean, when someone says they're anti-tribal, period. Okay, what exactly do they mean by that? And the idea is to break that down.
My Twitter bio can only be like 140 characters.
No, I'm not even saying... Your Twitter bio... I mean, I'm targeting specifically even egoists on fucking Twitter who say they're anti-tribal.
Oh, no, well, the egoists are the biggest tribal...
Yeah, I was going to say, well, what the fuck do you mean by anti-tribal? Please explain that to me. I mean, because anytime
I'm automatically like have like a particular mindset. This is what I mean. This is what
I mean. Even egoism is a fucking tribe because they're like minds
I can say what it is for me, and I could probably say what it means to. I'll just say he's been on my podcast, so I guess he counts. The independent ego. Like I can understand where because he kind of gets it from me as well, as far as I know. Is that like we don't go like, oh, okay, I'm an egoist, you're an egoist. Someone is criticizing you for something you said. I'm going to defend it no matter what because you're in my quote unquote tribe.
Right, the blind defense.
The blind defense, yeah. We don't do that. What we do is go like, what do you like? If I'm wrong or if he's wrong, like I would sit down and be like, you're wrong. Like this person who's making criticism, like sure they're a commie, sure they're a fucking Nazi, sure they're a Democrat or Republican, whatever, but they're right. Like you made a mistake. You need to defend it. Whereas like a lot of people will just automatically jump to the defense of someone like Molyneux or Dapperton or esoteric entity. People will automatically like try to defend him. I'm like, how could you defend this? Like he's even admitting in his video where he's saying he's not censoring people, that he's censoring people. He's just calling me a troll. Like that's his argument. Like how could you look at that and walk away thinking like, no, unless you have that tribal mindset, like esoteric entity is an ANCAP. I don't know about Jim Jesus because he says that he's not an anarcho-capitalist. So I don't know where he is. So therefore he's wrong. Would actually like
oh no okay so that tribe okay so now I understand your tribalist argument. I get it.
Yeah. So like I think the only kind of tribal in that term that we're talking about, like sure, like you can have kinship over like friends and family and whatever.
Yeah, because I'm looking at from a biological tribal as opposed to an ideological.
Well, there's evolutionary like benefits to tribalism, and that's why it's so inherent. But we're making it unhealthy by applying it to like these other groups.
Right. No, I
like
can
sure
agree with
you
that.
should be tribal about your kids.
You can be tribal about your animals or
yeah, like
friends.
I'm going to defend my cat, like no matter what.
Yeah,
like my cat's awesome. Fuck you. You just smell bad. That's why she hates you.
Or I smell. Yeah, I smell like other cats. So
Yeah.
fuck you. Yeah, no, I see. I get that.
And your cat may be cooler in your eyes, but at the end of the day, my cat's cool as shit. Like, but that's my vice. But the Golden Knights are my vice, and I understand that they're my vice.
But see, that's a relationship. That's not a vice. The fact that you're willing to, okay, so let's use.
No, my cat is a vice.
Your cat is.
Hanging out with my cat, that's a vice. It's a completely one-way relationship at the end of the day.
To you, it is.
And I lie to myself that it's not. Like, I pet her, I give her food, and I give her water. And what does she give me? Like,
she gives you lip.
Agony and lip.
See, I'm gonna
demands
have to.
and just.
I have to disagree because I have.
But she's my homie.
Yeah,
So that's
see,
it.
no. This is a difference of opinion. So I guess I don't even need to say it because you believe your cat's a vice. I believe my cat, who's always lovable and does really weird shit to get my attention and to
I'm surprised she hasn't like tried to interrupt the podcast yet. I'm glad she's sleeping.
Because this is probably the most chill she's actually ever acted with me because I don't generally smell like
Maybe you
my
showered,
cats.
you came.
Yeah. I smell better. But generally, so the listeners know, anytime I would come over to do a podcast with Jim,
The cat would get mad at you.
little Missy over there would be hissing a fit, and I try to pet her, and she, yeah. Anyways, because I smell like other people's pussy.
Don't like it.
Nope.
But no, but you kind of get what I'm saying. Like, it's not necessarily. But yeah, like, so the cat and the Golden Knights. Like,
I get that.
Like, I look at them as like, I know that if I tried to defend them as if like they're right just because they're my team, I'd be wrong. But I'm only doing it because like that's something that my ego needs.
No, it's
a sense of tradition. It's a sense of
sense of pride,
bonding.
It's a sense of pride because now. Well, we live in a city that now has a national sports team, but that sports team is doing well.
Doing awesome. Holy shit.
Yeah.
But now I'd still support them if they were like the Chargers.
Well, no, right. It's because it's something that is now kind of in the same proximity. Would you say same proximity? I mean, be that kind of argument. It's here.
Right.
They now represent the city.
I'm a faux Vegas nationalist, so
of course I'm going to adopt the newest team.
You're a faux Vegas nationalist as opposed to an actual Vegas nationalist.
Right. 'Cause I'm not a nationalist.
I'm a Vegas nationalist. There is a.
That's fine. You're wrong, but
Yeah, that's okay. Wait until
I lovingly entertain the idea.
if shit hits the fan and I need someone to help take Hoover Dam, who do I need to count on?
Me.
Are you gonna do it?
Yes.
Okay, well then you better hold the dam.
Yes, I'll hold the dam. But just know that I willingly acknowledge that it's just a spook, but I'm entertaining it for the lulz.
Yeah, no, I understand.
Okay. I'll help you with the dam, but only for the lulz.
Yeah, well, because this is the only life we live, and as much as egoists may say it's a spook,
The alt-right,
Yeah.
fucking goddamn it! It's been a while since I played this game.
oh, Fallout.
The
Dude,
fuck is it?
have you looked?
It's Kaiser's Legion.
Yeah,
Because I just don't like the alt-right Kaiser's Legion. Degenerates everywhere.
Yeah, it's like, okay, so you basically, if you want to break it down, which I never really thought, yeah, you've got the alt-right with Caesar, and then you've got the liberals with the New California Republic, and then you got the nationalists with Mr. House. I'm sorry, and then
That's all breaking down now because the alt-right is not a thing anymore. Like even, I guess Richard Spencer is no longer an alt-righter.
No,
He's not even a white nationalist.
No, he's a straight,
Or a white supremacist. He's not. He's just like a straight out like.
he's straight up imperialist.
Yeah.
You know, so he's now in a weird way advocating for Trump or just for the deep. I mean, what exactly is he advocating
I don't
for?
know.
Because did you watch that
But
video?
Here's what he's.
Okay, so we're bearing
what
the
he's
lead.
saying. Like,
No,
here's what he's saying.
we're bearing the lead. So
Richard Spencer.
Okay, so Richard Spencer came out and Trudel Tom did a video reacting, but more like analyzing kind of Richard Spencer's
New position.
and he was explaining it. And the video
I
was
love that fucking egghead picture they keep bringing up every once in a while.
well, no, he was asking for the best Spencer memes in his Discord, and people were
making him like a big egghead.
dude. That needs to be the photo for the
okay.
for the podcast. It's got to
I
be
know where to find it. Too.
okay.
Okay.
But no, okay, so Trudel Tom was actually going through the philosophical position that Richard Spencer is now espousing and going in more detail, providing about there's the top, there was an up, or what do you say, top, a bottom. So the top would be the oligarchs or the people in power, the bottom being the immigrants, and then the middle. In order to keep a stable society and going from a monarchist perspective, the monarch must keep the middle, i.e. the middle class or whatever, stable. Therefore, that actually filters down to the lower class and it keeps them roughly stable. Because if the upper class actually just feeds the lower class will go and try to eat the middle, and then just chaos will ensue. Am I getting that position more or less correct?
But he also has this position where, in terms of nationalism, he thinks that white nationalism sows the seeds of its own destruction because it's an inherent contradiction to say that reactionaryism is like an individualist philosophy that is based on collectivism, that you collectivize people based on their religion, on their culture, and on their race. And you can't have both because it's a contradiction to judge people on individuals based on collective identity. So there's an inherent conflict, and because of that inherent conflict, you're sowing the seeds of its own demise. So the United States started out as a white supremacist or white nationalist kind of viewpoint, but because it still had this terms of this individualism, that it sowed the seeds later on to like deconstructing like slavery and then segregation and then the eventual problems that the alt-right sees today. So if you go rewind the clock back to the Industrial Revolution and even allow for slavery, you're going to still sow the seeds for the deconstruction of that, and then the deconstruction of segregation, which also causes that conflict to ensue after both of them are gone.
So he's talking about,
we still have conflict over slavery and segregation today.
Yeah, he's talking about a perpetual cycle that should be broken.
Yeah. So he sees the problem with white nationalism now.
But I'm more curious.
So he's probably going to get doxxed by Cantwell now.
well, no. So what I'm curious is, okay, so this is his new position. What exactly led him to this new position? What,
I really want to know. That's really interesting.
I'm curious.
I wonder if because he's probably listens to his critics. Richard Spencer's not a dumb guy.
Oh,
he's wrong.
Do you know
but
that
he's not a dumb guy?
Do you know that I actually invited Richard Spencer to Freedom Fest because I wanted to debate him?
That would be great.
Well, no. So Freedom Fest was about to happen, and then the whole blow up between Spencer and Tucker happened. I sent him a fucking message saying, "Come to Freedom Fest and let's talk."
Yeah, because Freedom Fest is a Republican fest for the most part. So.
Well, no, right. So, but I never heard anything back from him, so I just consider it, null and void. Like, whatever. He probably just said, "I'm some fag," and just, brushed me off.
Yeah, just
I'm nobody, so
when you start having a lot of people following you, it's easy to kind of go like, especially people when you get a lot of like attention, you're kind of really selective on who you want to listen to. And it's probably not like because you're a fag. It's just more like,
no, I agree with that. I'm nobody.
This is a new person. I'm not familiar with them. I got to be cautious. That's the way I look at it.
I get that, and
I'm usually cautious at first.
And the fact that this was on Facebook and it was all under an assumed name and it sounded very alt-right. So I mean, even if you look at my profile, so to speak, it's very not typical.
Yeah.
So
you're a fucking weirdo. Go ahead.
Dude, I fly my freak flag high.
Yeah. So it's kind of interesting to watch.
Well, are we watching?
Cantwell and like
I'm watching. Okay, so
he shall not be named is like the only people left.
Well, no. Okay, so look at it. So segueing to Kanye, right? So Kanye had his own little Trump thing, right? But did you see the reaction from the Crips? There were Crips who were straight up calling for not his execution, but to beat his ass down in the streets. I'm wondering if Cantwell or someone similar to Cantwell will actually do the same thing to Richard Spencer, since he's now turned on the so-called tribe or the movement. So for
bearing the
not public execution, but his public persona execution, so to speak.
So to kind of bear in the lead, because I don't think we've talked about this yet, but Cantwell, I guess, was in contact with not just the FBI, because I guess he's an FBI informant now. According to him, he says it's only to expose the people who are attacking him for as part of his trial, but that's not what being an informant's about. And it's pretty clear speculation that he's ratting on former his peers,
current and former colleagues.
Yeah, because he does have a lot of information on them, and it seems as though like he actually is kind of doing that already with the Huffington Post, because the Huffington Post was going to do an article about the guy who run Ricky. What the fuck was his name? Just his name was the guy from Major League. That
Ricky Vaughn.
Ricky Vaughn. Ricky Vaughn was doxxed. No, not the actual Ricky Vaughn from the movie.
I know.
But there was an alt-right account, and it was pretty vile, and he ended up getting banned from Twitter. But Ricky Vaughn was like a white nationalist, and then he ended up changing his mind as well, because a lot of the alt-righters have changed their mind about this, about white nationalism and all that stuff.
Well,
But anyways, like they were going to do a story because they found out who he was through someone else. Someone else doxed him. And then Cantwell contacted them, or they contacted, I don't know who contacted each other first, but Cantwell confirmed that the details were true. And the reason why Cantwell did that is because he sees him as an enemy of the white race.
My question...
And everybody's mad at Cantwell. Not just mad at Cantwell, but they're actually just like, all right, we're done with being an alt-righter.
Well,
we're done with the nationalism stuff now.
So I have a question now. So is it possible, because you said Spencer is an intelligent guy. Okay, I have no reason to not...
I think a lot of people who disagree with me on stuff aren't stupid.
I'm
not saying just because you're a Nazi, you're stupid.
But no, I believe...
Maybe very smart, but just be wrong.
Well, let's just say... I just
want to be clear.
Let me rephrase that. Say that Spencer, even though due to his public appearance and his persona and all that, is perceptive, right? So if he knew this shit was going on with Cantwell, is that a possibility as to why he changed it? Right.
Possible.
So
I wouldn't doubt it.
he was seeing the writing on the wall. He's like, you know what? Fuck this, and it's self-preservation.
Yeah. Yeah.
That would be interesting, because just in a weird sociological way, I'm just, why did he change his position? Oh, that's why? Interesting. Okay. But specifically, why does he necessarily believe that imperialism is now the best form of.
I honestly, to be honest, I don't care. Because here's what I've been thinking about, and I talked about this with Matt. Like, I really don't care about the alt-right anymore because they were always kind of like the media's whipping boy. But I saw the rise of them, and I saw this kind of like trend where everybody's starting to go that route, the libertarian to alt-right pipeline. I saw that was there. It seems as though that's kind of dying out.
Actually, no, that anarcho-fascism book I was talking about actually talks about that pipeline. So okay. I'm curious to see what the author actually has to say about it.
So there definitely was a pipeline, but I think that pipeline is pretty much closed off now that the alt-right is kind of a dead movement.
But it's not though, because if you look at,
no.
It's not. It doesn't have the same strength, or at least the white nationalists. But there still is an alt-right movement, and this is
There's always going to be like Nazis.
I'm not talking about, because if you look at the alt-right,
they're an umbrella term and they are included.
Right.
So I'm talking about like the libertarian, like
there's a faction of new conservatives who are coming out, even YouTubers who are coming out, and yes, some are being censored, some are not. But I'm actually finding through Trudel Tom's page and people he's following or people are following him. I'm finding these new conservative voices who aren't your stereotypical conservatives, like this this Puerto Rican / black chick who lives in Dallas, Texas. She has a following of like maybe 20,000 viewers. But regardless, that's a starting point. You're actually out of the death of the alt-right. You're actually starting to see the new right. And it's more of a racially diverse sect of conservatives.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
it really kind of throws a wrench in their whole argument.
Yeah, no,
that white people are going to be like the way for conservatism or the right or whatever.
Right, but they're still. I mean, even looking at Roaming Millennial, right? She's a centrist. Like, no, she's probably just a conservative, but she's like white and Asiatic. Like, I think her dad or her mom's Asian and then white, or European, vice versa. But so you're getting people like that, or you're getting people of more mixed or more. Well, look at that guy T. Look at.
That guy T is not an alt-righter.
I'm not talking about alt-right, but I'm just saying like conservative.
He doesn't entertain like nationalism, identitarian nationalism,
but more conservative style politics, but being, say, not white. And you're seeing more people like that. Yeah. Whereas back in the day, Thomas Sowell, maybe
Token.
Yeah, it was Token, and then you had Walter
Williams.
Walter Williams, yeah. Like you had a couple of supposed token black guys who believed
they're not tokens anymore.
They were never tokens to begin with.
But because they contributed things that were significant to the
absolutely to the cause of either liberty or conservatism or what have you.
I wouldn't say they're Walter Williams, yeah, but Sowell's a libertarian.
Yeah,
he's not a conservative.
But libertarian, so that line between those guys could be pretty thin, whether it be libertarian or conservative. But regardless, they contributed significant. Book or ideas to the general conversation. They should be lauded for it. I mean,
yeah. That guy T too. That guy T is contributed a lot
and
too.
He's stuck. Yeah, he's stuck with. I mean, what does he still do his YouTube channel? Because I know he quit for a little bit. Because it's funny because I go back on because I'm on a Trudel Tom kick for some reason, but I'm noticing that like the moment that guy T disappeared from the ANCAP scene, he kind of
took over, yeah.
He popped up on Trudel Tom's radar and kind of started doing collaboration videos with him every now and then. Yeah. So
the Moreover philosophy, which is an interesting podcast. Well, if you want to call it a podcast, is it actually on RSS feed? I don't think it is.
No, I think it's just a YouTube channel. It's just like.
I hate that. I hate when people call like YouTube channels podcasts. They're not. If you don't have an RSS feed too, like I post my podcast on YouTube.
I stopped doing that. I did 2 episodes. I'm like, the time it takes to render the video, I'm like,
I just do it when I'm at work and to come back home and upload it, or if I'm sleeping.
Then I would need to put together.
Make some awesome pizza dough, by the way.
His pizza dough is on point. Yeah. That is true. I'm not going to deny that.
It didn't used to be.
No, his pizza dough used to fucking suck, but now
I wouldn't say it sucked. It was definitely better than anything you'd get at Domino's or Pizza Hut for sure.
It was passable. but now it's on point. He's
on point.
He's perfected it. He's slowly working to perfect his craft.
Should we talk about being a pizza-ELO?
Yeah, because even you doing this, I'm like,
I hate that word, pizza-ELO. Pizza-ELO.
Oh, like aficionado? It's just the same.
P-I-C-Z-A-I.
Right, but it's technically the same word. It's like
yellow.
I've got on my Twitter feed. It's like I'm a dark synth aficionado, but it's the same word. It's because you take, this is what you want to specialize in, or this is what you really like.
So yeah, I ended up changing that on my Twitter bios too. That I'm a aspiring pizza-iello.
You should be a pizza aficionado.
Well, that's someone who eats pizza. Someone who makes pizza is a pizza-iello.
Yeah.
Someone who makes the pizza. And by the way, that used to be a term of like, oh, that's the shit tiered shit.
Actually, you
just make fucking bread with tomato.
Or you
sauce
could just say pizza snob and just really dumb it down.
No, pizza-iello is someone who makes pizza.
No, but so
anyways, I got this book, legally, of course, not from the public library, called The Pizza Bible. And like, I've always been interested in trying to learn how to make pizza. Like, what I really want to do is make Neapolitan pizza. Okay, I'm sorry for calling it Neapolitan pizza. Okay, I don't know about your fancy book learning, buddy. You know who I'm talking to. I never got my grade 12. Damn it! No, I'm just kidding.
well, because I
wanted to make Neapolitan pizza.
Well, because you've been talking about this. I mean,
for a while.
For a while, even when
a couple years.
Yeah, because when we were at Jackfest in 2016, you were talking about
build the pizza oven. Yeah,
right. Build the pizza oven and us take it out to Jackfest just to make pizzas. I'm like, that was a great idea. Just need to do it, or
I need to learn how to make pizza.
But the problem is, I'm like, okay, that's a pain in the fucking ass to transport. Period.
It would be better to build one there, and it's you can actually build one fairly cheap, but you just got to have a little bit of experience.
Yeah, I'd be worried since it's not supervised. Most of the year, I'd just be worried about someone fucking with it or nature fucking with it.
Yeah. So, anyways, yeah, like I always wanted to do that, and I was working on. So I just figured that Alton Brown, because Alton Brown is fucking awesome. Let's just get that out of the way. Good Eats is like one of the best food TV shows ever, by far. Alton Brown is like a wealth of knowledge. And also, I took a couple of hints from Gordon Ramsay about stuff, and that was helpful. It actually improved it. But at the end of the day, these people are not PCLOs. They're not. They don't spend their time like making pizza all the time. They're not.
They ain't from Chicago.
They're not. They're not respecting the craft or New York. Anyways,
fight me.
Yeah. No. I don't think that New York pizza is like exceptional. I don't.
Cardboard with cheese.
No, I don't think it's that bad. I like New York pizza.
I like my cardboard with little cheese.
But I like my pizza lasagna. Okay, probably better. But anyways, so
real quick before you talk about the book, I know you said you disagree with me on one of your driving homes, saying that Chicago style is not pizza. I
did not say that. I did not say that.
You said
it's a straw man.
It's a straw man. Go back and listen to it, because you talk about that and you say wrong, Baron. So I heard that, motherfucker, and I may or may not. Straw mans. Dude, it's gonna live forever on the nets. It's out there, bitch. Regardless, there's a reason why it's called a pizza pie, and it may be a combination of pizza and a pie. So
no. So here's the point that I was making, because I was talking about fascism and how is it really socialism or not, and I was saying that is like arguing whether or not Chicago pizza is technically pizza, because it's not a flat piece of bread. It's actually like
it's a fucking pie.
It's actually a pie with a top crust and everything.
Yep.
And I was like, that's basically what the argument is. Like, okay, it's very much different than what most people see as pizza, but it's still pizza. That's what I was saying.
Okay.
That's what was my point.
Okay, so
it's just, you can't say that like, oh, Chicago style pizza, that's the same kind of pizza as New York. No, that's what people like on the right try to do with fascism, is they try to say like National Socialism is the same thing as communism. Not exactly.
No, it's not actually.
There's a lot of similarities.
What is it? Fascism, National Socialism have more in common than Nat socks or fascism with communism. I mean, yes.
Okay, yeah.
Anyway,
so that was what I was saying. You missed what I said.
I did, but all I heard was sorry, Baron. I'm like, okay, so that's what I equated to the pizza argument. I'm like, well, then I was if that was your perceived argument.
I love Chicago.
I was willing to meet you halfway and say, yes, it is a pie and it is pizza.
It's lasagna. That's what one of my coworkers says. Like, I don't know if that's pizza. It seems like lasagna to me.
It's fucking delicious regardless.
Yeah. And I know how to make it. I know how to make it. It's great. And then my first attempt was like, I perfected that. I would actually do something hard now. But no, like I wanted to get back into the craft, and I was like, okay, I got this book by this guy who wrote the pizza quote unquote Bible, and this guy owns like he started out as like a competitive pizza dough tosser. He's doing like, the competitive. It's almost like vaping, the vaping competitions, but for pizza. But for pizza dough tossing.
Vape Nation.
Yeah. And then they banned him from competition because he was too good and he kept winning. And they were like, we're just retiring you. So that he couldn't get in any competitions doing that. So he still wanted to be competitive. So what he did is like, I'm just going to learn how to make pizza right. And then compete like in tasting, actually making quality pizza. So he actually had to learn all over again how to make pizza, not just learn how to make the dough so he can spin it around. And then now he actually owns some like really top tier Neapolitana pizza pizzerias.
Are you saying Napolitano?
Neapolitania.
So it's not like
pizzerias.
So it's not like the ex-governor of Arizona. Gotcha.
No.
Oh no, that's now head of what? Cal? University of Cal?
I don't know.
USC?
I don't know. Anyway, he has some very successful like really good pizza places, and he has like 9 or 10 ovens in his places, like one coal fire, one wood fire, one gas. Like he has like all different kinds of ovens for making various different styles of pizza. And then he ended up sending to LA, and then he also has a couple places in here in Vegas, and
which
he also does like when they have the big conventions for pizza here in Vegas at the convention center. He's the one that actually does like the courses, the classes where people can come and take and learn how to make pizza.
So aside from the hot wing challenge that we need to film, I think we also need to go to his a couple of establishments here and actually film the pizza and eating and all that.
I'm definitely not opposed to that.
So I think this is the idea of creating a Lolberts Vegas YouTube channel.
I already have a Lolberts YouTube channel, but I discontinued it. So if you want to listen to it, you got to go to the main.
Or maybe we just throw it on the Sintopia. I can make a Sintopia. Since it is Vegas proper.
Anyways, I want to start wrapping this up because I got to pee. It's just, you can see my legs dancing. So yeah, I got the book and now I'm just like, okay, I'm going to pretend like I don't know anything about this, and I'm just going to take everything that he says is gospel, and it's fucking working. Apparently, like my dough just went from 10% to about maybe 90%. It still has some work to do.
85, 90, yeah. I'd probably say 90 because it's tasty.
Mm-hmm. Like the bread by itself.
Yeah, no, the bread by it because there's some pizza crust that you just loathe to eat, but this is you want to eat it. Yeah.
It actually has like a beer kind of quality to it. It's complexity.
Yeah, it's soft, but it's flavorful and
it's got that fermentation kind of flavor to it.
Yeah, it's good. You do a stuffed crust version of it. It would remind me of some crust. No,
I'm opposed to stuffed crust. I'll do stuffed pizza. I won't do stuffed crust.
No,
it's an abomination.
Yeah, you say that until you taste Rocco's Little Chicago in Tucson, then you may change your mind.
I'll do a stuffed crust Chicago pizza. That's a different ball game.
Yeah, no,
you're putting like corn in it.
Actually, that's what I'm. Oh, I should have made that clear.
Okay,
I'll only eat a stuffed crust Chicago style pizza. Period.
Okay.
And that's what Little Rocco's at, Little Chicago. I mean, dude's from Chicago, and he's got this little pizza joint in Tucson.
Yeah, that's a different beast, but yeah.
That's the only way you should do stuffed crust, Chicago style.
Yep. But, so that's been my goal, is to perfect a pizza proper. So I need to get a couple of stones. Right now I'm just using an iron skillet, and it's working.
Yeah,
it's working. The crust on the bottom would be
right, but to get the stones, it's gonna more streamline the process and make it easier. But let's wrap this up because you're jiggling something fierce and you need to pee. So
I gotta piss my dick. So where can they find more information about your?
So my website is officially up. It is Sintopia.org. I've got at least 7 episodes, 4 core episodes, maybe 2 or 3 for Side quests, which are just random shit that I do in Vegas.
Okay.
Showing off landmarks, you know, the thing.
All right. Hail Satan.
Hail Odin.
Hail Odin. Hail Thanos. All right, thanks for coming on, man.
Appreciate you.